set of like your true weekend starters throughout the season. And even yesterday when the defense kind of struggled for Stanford, put the pitchers in some tough holes, they gave up a run here or there, but they didn't really – they would bend, but they didn't break. And I think that's such a big thing you want to see for Stanford, especially going down this final stretch of the season.
Absolutely, and for Stanford, not only did they sweep the number 8 Florida State Seminoles, but they are also coming into tonight on a 5-game win streak. And this is one of 2 5-game win streaks that they've been on this season. The first one being the stretch from March 21st to the 27th, and of course this recent one being stretched out from April 19th to 26th, which led off with the win against Miami to avoid the sweep against the Hurricanes. Then you pick up the midweek win against Santa Clara. And, of course, the Florida State sweep, which has got us to this point. And like you said, Jordan, it came down to the pitching. The pitching has seen big improvement. And if you were to do a compare and contrast from the last 5-game win streak, we saw a decrease in the team ERA. But that first win streak that they had, the first 5-game win streak that they had was really more offensively focused.
And that's the thing about this offense. You look at the power numbers and the slugging. This offense is more than capable of keeping Stanford in games or winning them. You just ask that a game here or there, you ask that your pitching can give you a chance in some of these games. And to your point, right, you're seeing that more and more often here as the season progresses.
Yeah, as Stanford will hit the field, as set to be a good one tonight. A little bit of mix of everybody amongst these 2, I guess you could say, neighbor schools, as UC Davis are coming in, avoiding a sweep against Long Beach State, as they're trying to hang in the balance in the Big West. But we're going to see what they can do tonight against Stanford, as we'll give you the starting lineup for the Aggies, set up by their head coach and Tommy Nicholson. Leading off will be Zach Story playing third base. Batting second is Tyler Howard in right field. Kai Malt is in center field batting third. Ryan Lee is at catcher. He bats cleanup. Elijah McNeil is at shortstop batting fifth. Corey Williams is the designated hitter tonight for UC Davis, batting sixth. Braden Wooldridge is in left field. He bats seventh. Houston Hirschkorn is in the 8 hole at first base. And Joey Wright rounds out the order at second base, batting ninth. And for Stanford, of course, going with the opener strategy, which has been common to see from David Esker's game plan, as he'll be bringing out the freshman from San Jose and Quentin Marsh. As Quentin Marsh trying to bounce back a little bit. The last appearance came in the Miami series, where he did start in that game, pitched an inning, but gave up 2 runs to open things up in that 3-game weekend series.
And one of the things you always want to see, especially with a young pitcher, and you'll see all these freshmen throughout the pitching staff for Stanford, can you get up early in the counts, right? Those first pitch strikes are going to be so crucial. And I think that's one thing, again, when you look at a lot of what happened in that win yesterday for Stanford, especially early, right? You got about 4 innings in from Nick Dugan, which was huge, especially with all the pitchers that Stanford had to use throughout that weekend already. We'll see right now if Quentin Marsh, can he pick up where you saw some of those young relievers yesterday left off as well.
And just talking about the pitching, during this 5-game win streak that Stanford has been on, they've seen major improvement from the bullpen. They have a 4.02 ERA within this series, along with a 117 WHIP, and you compare that to the first 5-game win streak that they had. That's about close to 60 points under from what they had from the March 21st to the 27th stretch. But they have been just on go in these stretch of games, and they're hoping to keep it that way as they round out the last third of the ACC schedule. As Zach Story will step in to start the game. Foul tips the first pitch for strike one, as it is 6:05, first pitch here at Sunken Diamond. Bit of a cool night here on the farm, 60 degrees. The off-speed pitch from March, swung on a miss for strike two.
Don't we love an on-time start?
That's for sure. We got to love that. And, hoping for Stanford, looking to extend the win streak to 6 games. Trying to do that against a friendly neighbor from far North California. More like about maybe a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend trying to do it around this time of day, though, with the traffic, for sure.
Oh, no. Not a chance. The 1-2 from Marsh. Foul ball straight back, as in this series against these two schools. Stanford lead by a hefty margin, 57-15 all time against the Aggies, and have won 3 straight in the last 3 appearances. It's popped up on the right side. Sasaki playing it to the bag will make the catch for out number 1 to begin the ball game.
Well, yeah, you talk about the familiarity of these schools just being so close to each other. I mean, the last time that you had a win for UC Davis was back when Tommy Nicholson, who's the head coach now for UC Davis, was an assistant at Stanford. And we have a bat dog here today, too.
Yeah, how about that? UC Davis bringing out their bat dog, grabbing the bat. Let's see a lot of that. You know, always love when the pups shine here at the ballpark.
Wonder if I can train my girlfriend's dog to do that. Probably not.
I'm sure that dog has had years of training on how to pick up bats.
Yeah.
Here's Tyler Howard. Now look at the 1-0 pitch in for strike 1. Tyler Howard, the team leader, as well as also the leader in the Big West in triples on the season with 5. So, you know, this UC Davis lineup does possess some gap power. Or Stanford going to try to do what they do in trying to close those gaps, try to prevent any balls getting hit, and, you know, for a team that possesses a lot of extra base hits.
And you look at it, to your point, I think it's 108 extra base hits this UC Davis team has on the year. 73 doubles, 8 triples, and 27 homers.
Quentin Marsh able to get Howard on strikes. Using that breaking ball to his advantage. So 2 up, 2 down so far for UC Davis here in the top of the first.
And again, what you want to see early, right? So far, Quentin Marsh is really attacking the zone.
So Kai Malt will come up here, the freshman from Santa Barbara. Look at ball 1. And Malt was the number 6 ranked impact freshman in the Big West entering this season on D1 baseball. He's going to dunk a single out to right field and get on with the 2-out knock.
No, it stayed back just enough for that pitch. I think came in at right around 77 miles an hour. And at the end of the day, right, was what we always say, it can look like a bloop. It can be a weekly hit. I think to start off the game for Florida State yesterday, their first hit was an exit velo, I think 43 miles an hour, but it went for a double. Looks like a line drive in the scorebook.
Ryan Lee, who grew up just a few minutes up the road here, Sunnyvale native, senior for UC Davis. That was off the first pitch. Product of St. Francis High School. Last year he played in 48 games, hit .277, 2 home runs, and drove in 19, along with 5 doubles. Down early, 0-2 against Marsh. Close proximity with some of these UC Davis players hailing from this part of California. Expect a lot of friends and family in attendance. And he says he's out on the swing. No need to throw down the first, as that will end the inning. So Quentin Marsh only giving up 1 hit, but no score across for the Aggies to open up the ball game. Stanford will come up with their first ups as we're underway here on the ACC Network Extra. I'll begin the bottom of the first. Stanford will come up as coming off a huge weekend series, as we'll give you the starting lineup, of course, set up by David Esker, head coach. Yesterday's hero, the walk-off grand slam, when Charles Sasaki back at the top of the order. He bats first. Corey McDonald bats second, playing center field. Eric Gian, the hero from Saturday, batting third at second base. Teddy Tokheim is tonight's designated hitter. He bats cleanup. J.J. Moran at third base, batting fifth. Charlie Bates in the sixth hole at shortstop. Brady Reynolds back in the lineup, batting seventh in right field. Jimmy Nadai playing left field tonight, bats eighth. And Nolan Stoll at catcher, batting 9 to round out the order for the Cardinal. And on the mound for UC Davis is going to be redshirt sophomore Grayson Bonanno out of Encinitas, California, product of Torrey Pines High School. So he's going to look to try to calm down the Stanford lineup, which has been hitting very well in this 5-game winning streak. Strike one into Sasaki. And Jordan, you talk about the series that Rentaro Sasaki had against Florida State. Began 0 for 4, was able to get on base on Saturday, but Sunday was really the big game that turned things around for Rentaro.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, too. You could tell some of this frustration earlier in the game, got hit by a pitch right on kind of like the quad from where we were sitting. And it's safe to say you took out his frustration there at the end of the game.
For sure. Looks at that one outside. Rentaro knocked a grand slam over the left center field wall in Stanford's last at bat, being down 4-3. His 14 home runs on the year, still the team high. Looks at the 1-2, just a little outside from Bonanno.
That's a good 1-2 pitch.
Bonanno, not a lot of work on the season, just 15 and a third innings pitched coming into tonight. Does have 9 Ks. Sasaki hits it hard to third. Story backs up. Throw to first, bobbled by Hirschkorn. So Sasaki will reach base.
And I'm sure when Rentaro comes back to first base, he's going to maybe get a little pat on the back there for Houston Hirschkorn over at first. There were a couple of scoop attempts that Rentaro himself tried to make in the game yesterday and came up just a bit short. He had some frustration of his own. So he knows that feeling over there.
Court McDonald will come up. He had himself a pretty good series in the Florida State sweep. And one thing that David Esker was doing a lot was having more lefties hit, just knowing that the Florida State pitching staff struggled against left-handed hitters.
And the one thing, too, that's been awesome, the whole Court McDonald story this whole season, right, coming in his senior year, for most of this year, to your point, he's been in that lower part of the lineup. And then he debuts in that 2 spot. And, of course, when you're batting .340 going into a weekend, it's hard to not hit you higher up.
He put the bunt down there, tried to sacrifice Sasaki, but the throw to second was in time. Court McDonald, even though he was able to reach base himself, wasn't able to advance the lead runner over. There's one gone. And you talk about another guy that really shined in that series, Eric Gian, who had himself quite the day in the Saturday game where he made defensive plays in the field and delivered with a walk-off hit to win the series.
You had a cool little video about that, too. Did you have this phone? Was it set up right over here?
That's right.
That's pretty awesome.
I was on the call in the Saturday win where it was back and forth between the Seminoles and the Cardinal, but Eric Gian stole the show. Looks at strike 2 from Bonanno, and I had a chance to catch up with Eric before the game just to talk to him about what was going through his mind that entire Saturday, just knowing he had he was robbed of a home run, made a play on defense, and of course had the last laugh in the end. So he rolls a number over on the second base side, but running in is right, not able to grasp it with the bare hand. So Gian will probably reach on the infield single, and that is how they will score it.
Yeah, that you could tell just off the bat. That had a real funky spin to it. I think even over at first base, Court McDonald wasn't sure that hit off his foot. It kind of took him a second to get going, which you usually don't see on a ground ball. And then, of course, as well as Gian was running down to first, there was almost no play there for right.
Stanford with 2 runners on here in the bottom of the first. Freshman star Teddy Tokheim steps in, swings and misses at the first pitch. Tokheim homered on Saturday. comes into tonight on a 5-game hit streak during the 5-game win streak.
Ouch.
And he fouls that one off the foot. Tokheim, a 5-game hit streak during the 5-game winning streak, delivering strong offensively, hitting .333, driving in 5 RBIs with a double and a home run.
You look at those successful Stanford teams, right, of recent memory. This has kind of been some of the keys of it. Obviously, you're going to have some veteran leadership and production, but then they have those young guys that come and they're going to have a successful career, but sometimes it takes a little bit for a freshman to get going. And Teddy's just been rocking and rolling pretty early.
Oh, yeah, he's came out the gate very strong in his collegiate career. It's at Hart the short. On the ground, they go to second for one on the first in time for the double play. That will end the inning. So 2 left on for Stanford. Nothing doing in the first frame. We'll go to the second frame. Still scoreless here at Sunken Diamond. Top of the second here at Sunken Diamond, as I'll give you the defensive alignment for Stanford, as Jimmy Natai is in left field, Corey McDowell playing center field, Brady Reynolds in right, Charlie Bates in shortstop, J.J. Moran playing third base, Eric Gian at second base, Rentaro Sasaki at first, and Nolan Stoll behind the dish at catcher. So business as usual with a small change with Jimmy Natai playing left field. Usually you would see Teddy Tokheim out there, but with Tokheim's bat, that kind of gives his legs some rest. Oh, here's UC Davis back up to the plate with Elijah McNeil leading off. Elijah McNeil is quite the story when it comes to prep baseball in the Bay Area. Goes after the first pitch, but is fouled off to the right. As Elijah McNeil, who hails from Dublin, California, came out of Dublin High School, where he was actually drafted in the 20th round by the Giants in last year's draft.
I can only imagine what that's like. The team that there's a good chance that a lot of his upbringing he probably watched, whether that or, of course, when the A's were still here in Oakland. You hear your name be called. Obviously, I know for baseball it's so different with all the extra rounds that you have compared to some other sports. But still, I mean, I know that's got to be one of those things you cherish.
Swing and a miss for strike 2. And, yeah, McNeil, coming into college, turning down the 20th round pick offer, he's tabbed number 4 impact freshman in the Big West by D1 baseball. The Hart the short, Bates plays back on it and gets a good throw with Sasaki hitting the splits at first.
That's a good scoop there by Rentaro. And also, too, good job there by Bates to make that hop seem easier than what it was, because he had to make a decision. He didn't want to charge it or wait for that hop to happen, and it was a bigger hop, I think, than what he expected. And a good play over at first.
And Charlie Bates, sure hand over at shortstop this season. He's, continued to hold it down defensively for Stanford. Corey Williams will come up for the first time. He's DHing tonight. That's Corey Williams, a JUCO transfer for UC Davis out of Elk Grove. Swung on a miss there on the 1-0. Played his JUCO ball at Casunas River College. A few other notable names came out of CRC, like Jermaine Dye, who's another Bay Area native, made his mark in the majors for many years.
Yeah, I remember him with the White Sox, the A's for a bit too.
Yep.
Of course, with us being in the broadcast booth, how can you think about the White Sox and not mention Hawk Harrelson?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Legend.
He is.
Marsh miss outside, goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Umpires for tonight, behind home plate, Luis Hernandez, first base, Brandon Cooper, David Bailey, second base umpire, and Eric Gaucher at third. Ground ball, hit the second. Gian comes in for it. Makes a nice play for out number 2. I talk highly of Charlie Bates at shortstop, even Eric Gian, since he's become the everyday starter at second base, he also possesses some great defense. We saw that great play he made on Saturday where it was in the ninth inning where he made the diving catch on a line drive that was hit towards him.
Yeah, you talk about the highest of stakes, right? A close game, and you have to make a play like that.
Braden Wooldridge will step in, the senior from Chino Hills, hometown of the Ball brothers.
Oh, yeah, what a great basketball team that was back in the day. But also, to your point, right, we were talking about the defense. Obviously, that's been one of the big calling cards for Stanford, even before David Esker was here. Of course, the late, great Mark Marquis, on all of his tenure. Stanford has always been known you're going to have some good pitching and some good defense, too.
And line drive, base hit, goes over the head of Moran, so Wooldridge will reach on a two-out single. It's the second two-out single that UC Davis has been able to get so far in this game. He do it in back-to-back innings. So it does open up the door for Houston Hirschkorn.
Both times, too, those singles, they've gone the other way with it as well. So good approach right now with UC Davis if they can get that ball to the outfield.
The infield is playing back. Hirschkorn is a big guy, 6'3", 220, out of Kingsburg, California. Now look at strike one. On the season, Hirschkorn does have a home run and 7 RBIs, and this UC Davis squad, the offensive numbers don't really jump off the paper, but it's more about what they can do on defense.
It's kind of the after seeing Florida State, because that's a similar profile, if you will, right? Again, Florida State, very, very good pitching rotation for them. All three starters, when they're healthy, can really lead that program and lead that team on any given day. And to your point, UC Davis, they're going to be a team, even though I know they have the error already, more times than not, they're not going to beat themselves defensively.
Not at all, as coming into tonight, they are tied with the second-best team fielding percentage in the Big West Conference, and you even parlay that with them being first in the Big West in double plays turned.
Yep.
And think about the errors. They've committed the third fewest errors among Big West teams as well.
And when you can be at this point of the year and you're still in the 30s in terms of the amount of errors you've committed, and that's where UC Davis is right now after the one today at 37 here in total on the year, and you're pretty solid at using that mitt.
0-2 from Marsh, or instead he'll make another move to first. And talking with Tommy Nicholson before the game, he spoke highly about the defensive prowess of this team. That's something that he's always stressed throughout his coaching career. Goes home with the 0-2, but laid off just a little bit outside and high.
I mean, you think about some of the big leaguers that were here at Stanford during Tommy Nicholson's time here on the farm. You know, this is part of that first staff when Coach Esker came back home, if you will, to run this program.
Hirschkorn swings but fouls it. And even Tommy Nicholson, he's had a few other notable stops throughout his collegiate career, of course, mentioning him being under Coach Esker. He's also coached at Sac State and even at Texas when Augie Garrido was still the head coach for the Longhorns. And even with some pro experience behind him as well, he was drafted in the 11th round during his playing days and spent 6 years. Let's talk about the White Sox. He actually played 6 years in the White Sox minor league organization. The highest level he reached was AAA. Swung on and missed for strike three. Quentin Marsh gets his third K of the night, putting together two quality first two innings in this ball game. Still keeping it scoreless as we go to the bottom of the second. So it's going to be Moran, Bates, and Reynolds due up for Stanford in the bottom of the second. So we welcome you back here on the ACC Network Extra at Sunken Diamond. Phil Hall on the call alongside with Jordan Watkins. And Jordan, we saw one of the crazy series this weekend between Stanford and Florida State, but all around the ACC, there were some wild ones.
Yeah, I mean, when you look around, and we can just talk about how much of a bloodbath this conference can be, right? And obviously, I think the best example of that, of course, happened here, right? You have a top 10 team in the country that gets swept by Stanford. But then even around, like, how about the tough series, right, in South Bend, where Boston College, again, a top 25 team, they had to go 7-6 in that final one to win that series. Virginia Tech, NC State was a close one. But the thing, too, that's always so interesting, of course, you look at the sweeps, you see what Pitt did to Virginia.
That's for sure.
They're getting the sweep over a top 10 team as well. So pretty much it was almost one of those, if you're a top-ranked team in conference, you better watch out, unless, of course, your name is Georgia Tech. And the run that they're on right now.
Yeah, nobody is safe right now in the ACC with the last full month of the season, or half month of the season coming up. Moran pops it up in foul territory. It goes to the net near the Stanford on-deck circle. And, just pointing out some of the teams in the ACC, we look at Pitt, who we saw come here to Stanford to open up their ACC schedule, them sweeping a number 10 Virginia team really should give them a boost to the resume and kind of pretty much, pleading their case to be like, hey, we deserve to go to the dance this year.
Well, it's almost funny. I know they weren't doing it since they were playing, but you almost felt like Pitt kind of looks over here, Stanford's looking over there, because they're right there in the middle of that ACC picture at the moment. It's like, oh, wait, they swept that team? Okay, now we got to go do it too.
Moran, high fly ball to center field. It's going to be Malt there. Can of corn for him. One away. We'll give you the defensive alignment quick for UC Davis as Woldridge in left field, Malt in center field, Howard in right. McNeil is at shortstop. Zach Story at third base. You have Joey Wright at second base. Houston Hirschkorn at first. And, of course, Ryan Lee at catcher. Charlie Bates will come up to the dish with one away. And even a team that fell on hard times as well, Clemson, getting swept by Louisville, who are still trying to stay in the picture themselves. Of course, for Stanford, they took 2 out of 3 in their road trip out to Derby City to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at what the conference standings look like right now. It's just a big jumble right there in that middle. So much can change here in this last month of the regular season.
A 1-1 to Bates. Fish missed low, goes to 2-1. And for the majority of the season, most of these teams have played over 500, so they've played up to standard, but however, once you hit that conference schedule, it just changes drastically. 2-1 misses for ball 3 because if you look at the overall records, there's only right now one team playing under 500, and that's Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's just one game under, right? 19 and 20.
And Stanford are set to see Notre Dame on the road this weekend. Bates hits it down the left field line. It's going to fall in for a base hit. So he'll reach with the 1-out single.
I'm pretty sure every single hit so far in this game has gone the opposite way.
Yeah, there's only been 4 hits totaled up, and hey, you make a good point there, Jordan. Yeah, each one has been to the opposite field. At least that's how it feels.
Yeah, at least or 3 out of 4, I think, because I think maybe the infield single was by Gian. No, he went to the right side too. So still, all of them.
Still counts. Still counts. Here comes Brady Reynolds. Brady Reynolds hit his 4th homer on the season on Saturday. And, a lot of lefties in the lineup. They've been able to play their way into the lineup with the strategy that David Esker had. Bates taking off for second. The throw down is going to be in time. Ryan Lee able to get Bates off of the base pass. He was caught stealing. There's 2 away.
It's been one of the problems with Stanford. I know this year they've talked about how much more aggressive they want to be on the base pass, especially in recent years, and they have done that, right? They've tried to steal more bases, but they've been thrown out of their fair share. I believe now that is the 18th time this season in 55 attempts, that they've been thrown out.
And talking about the fielding prowess of UC Davis, one thing that they've also done well is keep the run game silent for opposing teams. They have the second lowest stolen base allowed percentage in the Big West.
They're just a notch over 60%, and of course that number's got a little bit lower.
Yeah, and even Tommy Nicholson was saying that his catchers, at least his primary catchers, have been out due to injury, and giving Ryan Lee the start, he's hoping that he can hold it down behind the plate. Reynolds, fly ball to right center field. Malt comes in, loses the cap, but will make the catch to retire the side. So, no runs and a hit for Stanford. Still nothing doing in the second inning. We'll go to the third. Still nothing on the farm. You're tuned in to Monday Night Baseball here on the ACC Network Extra. Here at the top of the third, still scoreless game on this Monday evening on the farm, as I'm going to throw it to my partner Jordan Watkins to take you through the third and fourth inning.
Thank you very much. Scoreboard looking pretty similar. No runs on 2 hits for both teams. The only real difference, UC Davis does have the 1 error. Stanford none so far. We'll start off with Joey Wright, then go back to the top of the lineup for UC Davis. And the first pitch he takes is outside for ball 1. So far this year, Joey Wright has reached base his last 2 games. Well, he has a hit. He's gotten a hit in the last 2 games. He's been on base in the last 3 straight. In 254 on the season, and in a 2-0 count right now. And that one hit fairly well to center. As McDonald settles under it, he'll make the grab for out number 1. Probably the hardest ball that we've seen hit here this afternoon. It looks like the bat dog, it wasn't really feeling that bad.
Yeah, I had a little struggle with that one, I was to say. Well, how about Quentin Marsh? David Esker giving him the 3rd inning, so I think Coach Esker probably trying to keep the lock on the bullpen tonight.
Well, and this is exactly what you know that he wants, and there are a lot of pitchers used this weekend for Stanford, and of course with that you had a lot of pitchers used multiple times. So the longer that Quentin Marsh can go today, the better. Already up 0-1 to Zach Story and gets the strike 2 call on the outside corner.
Yeah, I remember from the Friday game, I think there was 5 different pitchers that came out for Stanford to get that 1-run win, and yeah, they were all doing the work.
Yeah, every single game for Stanford, you had at least anywhere from 5 to 7 pitchers that were used. Story fouled that one back to stay alive. To the first. 36 pitches here for Quentin Marsh. Been pretty effective and efficient so far. 0-2. Off the end of the bat. Nice play by Marsh defending his position. Tried to jump out of the way, but stuck that glove down there, those long arms of his, and said, look what I found.
Yeah, sometimes that works in your favor. Whereas a comebacker, Marsh was ready for it. We'll get the toss to first, and he stayed rock steady. And always good for him to keep that pitch count down, and he's bounced back compared to the time that he opened up against Miami.
Exactly what you wanted to see so far. Now Tyler Howard comes up. First pitch swinging and comes up empty. He struck out in that first inning. Malt, who is on deck, has one of the 2 singles so far for the Aggies. Second pitch swinging, ground ball, diving, stop at short to his feet, and the throw is going to be offline. Good effort there by Charlie Bates, but Howard will be safe at first.
Yeah, it was going to be a tough play to make. The ball wasn't hit too hard enough, and Bates had to play it deep in the hole. And no need to rush the throw. It's going to be a 50-50 chance if you were going to get him, but at least you keep the rhythm going where UC Davis have gotten a 2-out single, but Quentin Marsh has been able to fight his way to close out an inning.
Also, good job there by Rentaro, just sacrificing the out. Just go make sure that ball doesn't get to the screen here in Sunken Diamond, which we always make the note. If you haven't been here before, if something gets past you on this infield out in that foul territory, it's pretty much almost an automatic 90 feet for the runners. There's Kai Malt, who took one off the end of the bat the other way for a single in the first. Pretty good pickoff attempt over there, but Howard back safely. Kai Malt now 284 on the season. He has a 3-game hit streak of his own right now. Two down so far in this inning. Howard at first for his infield single. Another throw over.
Had a pretty good season as a freshman with that 284 batting average. Nicholson, he's got a few good pieces to really kind of help the Aggies in this rebuild. A team that could hopefully compete down the line in the Big West.
And to your point, you talked about some of the coaches and some of the programs that he's been in and around. So one, obviously, there's the accolades, but also two, you learn a thing or two about recruiting as well and getting the right guys into a program.
That's for sure. And for the previous stops that Nicholson has been, that's really where his role has been as a coach.
And got him leaning. Throw down to second is on the money for out number 3. Howard thought that he was going to have the easy go, and Stanford guns him down. So one hit going for UC Davis here in the third, but nobody stranded. Going to the bottom half, still scoreless at Sunken. Stanford getting ready to come up in the bottom of the third inning, trying to get something going offensively. They've just had the one single in both innings so far. Nothing else really with that. Went up against Grayson Bonanno. Grayson, he's one of those pitchers, Phil. We've seen this recent trend a lot with baseball, especially pitchers, where you have to have Tommy John pretty early in your career. And it's almost one of those things, right? You hear from some people around baseball, it's like, well, it's going to happen. You might as well get it out the way.
Yeah, and even at times when a pitcher does have a Tommy John surgery, it's kind of common for them to come back stronger. It's kind of, interesting to say that, but, studies have shown for just about the elite pitchers you see across Major League Baseball that have had Tommy John, their arm has actually come stronger along with their performance.
As Mad-Eye takes the first pitch of this inning right off the tricep.
Yeah, I want to just run too much in on Mad-Eye, but hey, take one for the team and see if we can try to spark the offense here in the third for Stanford.
You'll always take a free pass to get an inning started. And now Nolan Stoll will come in. So he came in as a defensive replacement for Stanford in the game yesterday. Luke Lavin getting this day off, at least so far. It's pretty good at bat, too, or plate appearance, I should say, by the freshman. Got down in an 0-2 count. And then fought his way back as a 7-pitch battle. Earned his way on with the walk. Then, of course, Rentaro Sasaki came around that next batter and brought everybody home.
Full house dinger, I like to say.
0-1. Inside.
So Nolan Stoll, too, played a role in that Saturday when he was the winning run that came across with the Eric Gion base hit.
Good things happen when Nolan Stoll's on base.
For sure.
Here's the 1-1. Thought about swinging, held up, but it's in anyway.
And even for the times I've seen Stoll play and, see what he can produce, he's plays the role well as the table setter, being a guy that could try to come around and try to be that run scoring base runner for you.
And this is what we saw yesterday. Now in that 2-strike hole, whether it's a defensive swing or you name it, he's going to find a way to stay alive.
And just this being his 28th at bat on the season, he does have the on-base percentage at .457.
7 walks to his name this year, and sends a chopper on the left side, and trying to scoop it over there was Story, but couldn't do so. It got away from him, but not far enough for Nat-Eye to try to go to third.
Yep, scored a fair ball, so they go down as a infield single for Stoll, or possibly an E5 on Zach Story.
They're still waiting for that official ruling. Again, I think it might be one of those situations where you can't assume the outs. Again, it was a pretty tough play trying to come in, rounding around the ball to scoop it. Looks like it will be a hit for Stanford, so give them their third hit of the game. And we go back to the top of the lineup. 2 on, nobody out for Rentaro Sasaki. First pitch swinging, that would clear Hoover Tower. It's hit so high. And shallow infield, it'll be McNeil. Excuse me, shallow outfield. McNeil makes the grab. So 1 pitch to Sasaki brings the first out of this third inning. And Court McDonald will come up.
Yes, Rentaro trying to go after the first pitch there, trying to see if we can get something going. But, does have a tendency to kind of jump on ones early to no success. By the way, they do score that hit by Stoll a single.
Yep. Throw behind that at second to no avail. But, of course, if you're Rentaro Sasaki, you have that freedom to go after. You got a first pitch fastball that I think maybe was a little bit higher in the zone than what Bonanno probably would have wanted. It just missed it by a little bit. Good stop in the dirt by Lee.
And the irony of it is that Rentaro, he's the team leader in walks, so patient hitter all around, but hasn't really shown patience in the last few games.
There's some pitches, though. Your eyes get a little big when you see it coming through. 2-0 count now for McDonald. I remember when I was playing baseball growing up, too. Anytime the high pitch was coming my way, I could not help but swing at it. And that was one thing, you have your dad as a coach that tells you don't swing at high pitches.
Oh, yeah.
Those were some long drives back home after some of those games if I struck out on them. 3-0 count now to McDonald. Got in that fielder's choice the first time up, and there's a get-me-over fastball for strike 1.
Let's not have the green light there in that 3-0 pitch. Of course, if Eric Gian on deck, this would be a huge out for Grayson Bonanno to get.
Taking all the way again. Count now full. Bonanno not the hard thrower necessarily, sitting those upper 80s, low 90s for the most part with the fastball. Now works his way back to a payoff pitch, and I think we're going to have a balk here. As it was called, I believe it was David Bailey over at second. And so talk about a benefit here for Stanford, because that could have been a double play.
That is insane, just knowing that Bonanno still went with the pitch, and McDonald hit it back up the middle, caught on the line, but, it's a line drive that will not see the light of day.
Potential break for the Cardinal here. I think David Bailey must have seen a flinch. So do a payoff pitch again, but also the force out right now is out of play for Stanford. A lot more opportunities and situations where they can bring home a run here.
It does open up a big spot now for Court McDonald. All he needs to do is either win the duel with the walk or the knock, or, see if, it just opens it up for Eric Gian.
Payoff. Good cut, fouled off to stay alive.
Went off speed that time. Bonanno trying to go in.
Good back and forth battle we have right here. Chopper on the right side. They're going to go home with it after the step on the bag. And safe at home will be Nat-Eye. The ball got away, but staying over at third will be Stoll. I think we're going to just confirm that Hirschkorn stepped at first before he came home, and he did. So the out will be over at first, but Stanford will get the first run home.
As the chain reaction play there on the ground ball to first, Hirschkorn making the smart play to step on the bag and then get the quick throw to home, but Lee not able to grasp the throw, which allowed Nadi to get around the slide, around on the slide and score.
I take your point. I thought the throw was ahead of Nadi coming home, but a pretty close play there where Lee wasn't able to both apply the tag and make the catch as well. Well, Stanford will take it. They're up 1-0 as they benefit on the balk call.
Yeah, that came back to bite Grayson Bonanno. Just knowing, wow, the line drive to McNeil would have counted as an out, would have been out the inning by now.
There's a good chance that might have counted as 2 outs, too. 1-0. Ground ball, heads up over there at third base. Counts 1-1.
That quick bat speed of Eric Gian just really, again, it's interesting to see if there's anybody that's scouting him right now, because if you were to scout him for the bat speed and the defense. Just the quick twitch muscles, always active.
Those are 2 things that carry very well to the next level. You see people all the time where you can have long professional careers just even by being a defensive replacement. There's Eric starting off that collegiate career in Columbia. Not too far from where your alma mater is.
That's right, St. John's, where we actually did just get a Columbia transfer for the basketball team, Avery Brown.
Johnny's. It's been pretty fun seeing Coach Rutino have that program humming again.
Oh, yeah. Expect to see big things for the year to come.
Mile high pop-up. Staying on the infield. Who's going to call for it? It'll be Zach Story coming in for out number 3. All things considered, Stanford had a chance to put a big number up on the board. Only one comes across. As we are done with 3 full here, Stanford with the lead, 1-0. Well, for the first time in this game, Quentin Marsh coming out to the mound with the lead. Stanford with 1 run now on 3 hits. And at least in the collegiate career of Quentin Marsh, we're in uncharted territory right now. His longest outing so far has been 2 innings and some change. But again, he's been very efficient here in this start this afternoon, and looks like it's going to be his for a while. As we take a look down that first baseline, for Stanford, there really isn't anything going on in the bullpen either.
It has been very chill down there for Stanford in the pen tonight. Of course, for Quentin Marsh, the longest he's gone in a game were 2 inning stretches, both coming in the game against Utah Valley, one of the games against Utah Valley, and a game in the road trip at Virginia Tech.
First batter he'll face in this 4th inning will be Kai Maltz. A little funky spin on that one that stays foul. Remember, Malt was the last batter you saw at the plate for UC Davis in that 3rd inning, but that's when Tyler Howard was picked off trying to steal second, so he'll start this inning off.
Yeah, Malt with a single on the evening himself.
A pretty fun story in terms of his successes and careers in his high school tenure down at Santa Barbara High School. He's a 3-sport athlete: football, baseball, basketball. And lines one. Not a play over it short. Charlie Bates, full extension. We'll see you on Top 10 tonight.
You just have to give a round of applause.
I'll tip my cap
and
to
a
it.
tip to the cap to that great play by Charlie Bates. He's looking like Derek Jeter over there laying out, or even, in a way like some Bobby Wood Jr. action over at that shortstop position. Just able to catch the hard hit line drive by Malt.
I tell you what, Scott Van Pelt better get very comfortable and familiar with this Stanford baseball program. Right, the walk-off grand slam where Rentaro was on there last night. You might see that play up there a little bit later, too. I'm sure Stanford Steve will make sure he gets it out there.
Oh, he has to. He has to.
2-0 count now to Ryan Lee. Struck out swinging his first time up. That ended that first inning. Galt's a lot of duty this year. That one's off the end of the bat as well. Smart play there by Gian to play it on a hop for out number 2. He talked about it. A lot of action now for Ryan Lee this year due to the injuries that UC Davis has had at catcher. Now Elijah McNeil will come up. You think about of all the things that you need to go your way during a baseball season to have the best season possible. Obviously, yes, you need the talent. You need the talent to stay healthy, and you see a lot of talent in Elijah McNeil's bat. He ropes a single right up the middle to keep this inning alive.
Yeah, and for McNeil, able to keep the trend going where UC Davis has had a 2-out single in the first 3 innings, now first 4 innings of the game. And McNeil, talking with Tommy Nicholson, I was asking him, just knowing he was a 20th round pick by the Giants coming out of high school, is the pro potential still going to be there playing in the Big West? And he said, yes, this being a conference where, there have been some notable names to come out.
Yeah.
Elijah McNeil could have a long tenure with the Aggies.
Of course, even with that, you think about some of these teams in the Big West, think about some of the programs and just the pedigree that they carry with them, right? Obviously, Cal State Fullerton's one of the ones that will stick out to most people's minds. Long Beach State's had their history of putting guys in the MLB. You see what Cal Poly's been doing here as of late, too, especially with the run that they're having here this season.
And even a Major League guy themselves in Brooks Lee with the Minnesota Twins. And, UC San Diego have had their fair share of some top MLB names like Keston Hiura, who played in the majors for
mostly with the Brewers.
Yep.
And one thing's for sure too, when it comes to Major League Baseball, to an extent, right, it doesn't really matter where you play. Those scouts, they'll find you. And especially when you're in a state like California where this is such a hotbed for baseball talent. They'll make sure that they find a way to eval and get you in. There's the get me over fastball and to Corey Williams, 3-1.
His correction, it was Cura that went to UC Irvine, not San Diego, pardon me.
If he had a cousin that played for Stanford a few years ago. 3-1. That's high, and there's the first free pass that Quentin Marsh has given up today.
Off there in that AB against Corey Williams. Of course, Corey Williams is the top hitter in the UC Davis lineup tonight, hitting 300 coming into the game on the 12 RBIs. But Thomas Eager is going to come out to try to check on the southpaw.
As we were talking about, of course, Big West baseball. One of the pitchers that you think about, Kyle Abbott, who played the major leagues for a while, mostly with the Angels, and that was back when they were still the California Angels.
Yep.
Right now they've had a couple of different name changes, if you will, over time.
I've heard rumors that they might be going back to Anaheim pretty soon,
and it's
just being addressing himself as the Anaheim Angels,
and they should. I think that would be the best for them and their brands. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I think the Dodgers, are probably be like, well, we've got the championships as of late. So, if we were to address who's LA's team, I think we know who's LA's team, if you know what I mean.
No question. Another familiar name, too, that's a UCSD baseball alum, of course, Billy Bean, who's very well known out here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, actually earned his degree from UC San Diego when he was building up to be the GM for the A's.
Yeah. 1-0 count now to Braden Wooldridge. Quentin Marsh has done a good job throwing strikes for most of this outing today. Now finding some control problems. As there is some motion now going on in the Stanford bullpen. And there's a chopper hit foul over by first base. Now, one thing, too, that we saw yesterday during Stanford's win against Florida State, Thomas Eager did a really good job of manipulating the time that Stanford needed for the bullpen. You saw there was a player-led mound visit, a couple of pickoff attempts, and then Thomas Eager came out for a mound visit. It's pretty interesting to see for sure. Here's a 2-1 the other way, and no one's there on the shift. And that's going to be a base hit as McNeil's going to round. He will score easily. Going over to third is Williams. And the RBI single by Braden Wooldridge will tie things up here at 1.
It's those kind of things that happens when you tend to overdo it on the shift. Wooldridge is able to hit it through the open hole where there was really nobody there. It was a ghost town at the shortstop spot. But UC Davis, trying to get the bats going here as that trend of 2-out singles.
Yeah, there you are.
Seems to work, or is now starting to work in their favor.
It's a multi-hit game now already for Wooldridge in his first 2 times up. Runner still on the corners. As Houston Hirschkorn will be up. He struck out in the second inning. This is a big at-bat right now at this point of the game.
Here comes Eager out.
We might have a mid at-bat pitching change here. As it looks like Stanford's going to make the call to the pen. And so as they do, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you all about the new Stanford pitcher. As here we are tied at 1 at the top of the 4th inning. One run already across for the Aggies. 2 more still on base on the corners. As it's going to be Austin Steves coming in. Phil, was one of those rare occasions where you can find a pitcher for Stanford that did not pitch this weekend. He did get up to warm up a couple of times, but didn't come in. His last time out was against Miami. And overall for Steves on the year, this will be a 2-0 record. And has 6 strikeouts and 6 2/3 innings of work, a 4.05 ERA. And overall for him this season, I believe this will be appearance number 8.
Yeah, Steves did not have a presence in that Florida State series, so I don't know if this would be a chance for him to knock a little rust off, but not too far removed. He did pitch in the series against Miami, whereas he went a third of an inning in that game, and right now he's having to do the same, trying to get out of this inning to keep this a tie ball game.
It looks like they're having a pitch comm problem potentially. I just saw Steves looking over. Look, he was signaling towards his hat to the dugout. Even here in Silicon Valley, sometimes we'll have some technical difficulties.
Yeah, not always perfect, but we'll get it right.
Steve's a sophomore from up north, Petaluma, California. Seven appearances last year. 5 of those coming in conference play inside the ACC. And almost hit Hirschhorn with that pitch. One thing we did see when Steve was warming up, I think it was either his first or second warm-up pitch he threw, actually sailed over the head of the catcher, Nolan Stoll, all the way to the backstop. And it's already a big-time leverage situation when you have a runner in scoring position after one's already come across.
Yeah, you want to make sure your move's right when you're out there on the mound, especially even if you're throwing your warm-up pitches coming into the game.
And on the hand, Sasaki backpedals and makes the grab for out number 3. So good job by Steves coming in to limit the damage to just the one run coming across for the Aggies. But they do get one across, and we're tied here at Sunken. Plate will be a new pitcher for the Aggies, and it's the 6'3" freshman Eli Solom coming onto the mound.
Yeah, Eli Solom coming with 6.75 ERA. This is his 14th appearance on the season, and has had a fair amount of burn in his freshman year, pitching 16 innings so far for the Aggies. And he's a high strikeout guy with 26.
Freshman on freshman to start it off. Teddy Tokheim steps in. That's a double play back in the first inning.
I saw him out of Mill Valley. All right, I go Montez High School.
Cut there for Tokheim, fouls it back. Just to the right of us.
During his senior year at Montez, he was the first team in-Cal recipient with 107 strikeouts and a 136 ERA.
Fouled out of play. Tokheim, when you look at the Florida State series, 3 hits, 1 in each game. Of course, there's a big one Saturday game against Florida State, as he hits that one fairly well the other way. That one's hit to the warning track, and it dies down right in front of the Stanford Federal Credit Union sign for Howard to make the grab for out number 1. The harder hit balls we've seen from Stanford so far in this game.
And not a lot of balls have been hitting the air by the Cardinals so far tonight. It's only the 3rd flyout recorded.
Pretty cool day, as Philip told you, coming into the game. And as the sun continues to set, the ball flies less and less here at Sunken Diamond. Especially if you're going the other way, you better get all of it. J.J. Moran, he's first pitch swinging, fouls back to the net.
Probably a few more reps on the bench press. I'd say he's looking a favor there.
It's one of those where sometimes you come back to the dugout and everyone jokes with you about WTP, warning track power. Moran shoots one the other way. There's a lot of room over there, and Hirschhorn couldn't make the grab. He was trying to feel for where the wall was, didn't know exactly how much room he had left, and short arm is just a bit.
Yeah, all that foul territory can make any pop-up an easy play, but not there for Houston Hirschhorn. And he was looking more towards the wall, make sure that he didn't collide in the pursuit of the pop-up.
It's one of those things where, again, the foul territory can mess with you. If you're not used to being in a stadium where all that ground is, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I know the wall has to be here somewhere. 0-2, check swing, and going over to first, Brandon Cooper says no, he didn't go. Count 1-2 to Stanford third baseman. Talk about great defensive plays. He made that really nice one over by the railing of the Florida State dugout. And 1-2 hits that to right center on the charge. Great jump in center field by Maltz. And he makes the running grab for out number 2.
Yeah, it's another hard hit fly ball, not able to find grass. Yeah, but talking about J.J. Moran on the defensive end. You know, I didn't watch any Sports Center this weekend, so I knew we had some plays that could have made it into the top 10. We got to reach our friends out in Bristol, see what's up.
Yeah, talk about Stanford. See, where's Chinea Gwumike? Where can you have her put in a good word as well to get somebody on there? Where she does that phenomenal job with the NBA coverage.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, she and her sister were so fun to watch. They played basketball just right across the way at Maples Pavilion all those years. There's a nice pitch to Charlie Bates on the outside part of the plate.
Hey, how about the Valkyries, though? They're looking pretty good in preseason right now.
And I tell you what, there's one thing, you're doing a really good job when you have Chase Center that full for a preseason game. All the excitement for the Valkyries after that first year that they had. And those new jerseys that they came out with, too.
Fire for sure. Yeah, Chase Center's going to be buzzing all summer long with
no question.
The Valkyries being back.
Even when they had to move that playoff game last year.
Still sold out.
Right down at SAP.
Yeah, having to go to San Jose for that game, they still were able to pack out that place. But, again, no question. And, for the entirety of my life being here in the Bay Area, I always thought that we were due for a WBA season.
No question. Charlie Bates fouled that one off his foot.
I mean, the Warriors are great and all, but hey, we got a, we got a strong fan base for women's basketball here.
Well, and then I think just what added to that, you see obviously the Sparks down in L.A. Mm-hmm. The Monarchs had their run in Sacramento with all the great fan turnout that they had too as well up there, right? So it's just like, wait, all these places can have them. Think about all the good players that have come out the Bay Area throughout the years. Good eye again by Bates, especially recently.
Yeah, even women's basketball here on the farm.
Stanford, yeah, absolutely. UC Davis, even themselves, to their credit, they've had some good runs that get to the NCAA tournament in women's basketball in recent times. As there's a ground ball by Bates over to first, as Hirschkorn will take it himself for out number 3. So for Solom, he goes the minimum. Nobody getting on base. 3 up, 3 down goes Stanford as we head to the 5th. Still tied at 1 at Sunken. Who's going to break this tie? 1-1 going to the top of the 5th. Joey Wright will lead it off. And taking back over by play, the guy who understands that town business, Philip Hall.
Thank you, Jordan. Joey Wright stepping in. Going to look at strike 1 from Austin Steves, who's back out for another inning of work out the pen. Breaking ball just went inside there. Been a pretty balanced game here in this Monday midweek matchup. You got to love the Monday midweek games. Mm-hmm. Missed again in, goes to 2-1, and even kind of makes easy work for the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Talk about teams that had to play after they wrapped up with a weekend series. Almost hit hard to center field, and it's going to drop in for a base hit by Joey Wright to start at the top of the 5th.
That's a good piece of hitting by Joey Wright. Go right back up the middle. You talk about this being a balanced game. It really has been. But the thing for UC Davis, they've put more traffic on the base pass so far. That's the 6th hit of the game that they've had. And even coming into this inning, they've left 4 runners on base. So they've had some opportunities to put some more runs up on the board.
The bunt attempt being shown by Story, but he pulls back. And UC Davis, they're coming off a tough 3-game series against Long Beach State. And I only say it's tough because Long Beach State right now are the last place team in the Big West. And losing 2 out of 3 against the team in the basement of your conference, not a good feeling at all. Story's still trying to put the punt down. Pulls back, but it's in for strike 1. Yeah, but Big West at the whole, UC Davis are in the bottom tier with Cal Poly being the front runners at 15-6 with the conference record. UC San Diego at 14-7 in second. There's the bunt there by Story. Steves picks it up. He'll toss to Gian, who comes over the cover first for the first out.
Yeah, good job there with the sacrifice bunt. All right, you push it away from the mound enough to where there's no play to go at second. Gotta like the small ball here from the Aggies.
And even Stanford was playing a little small ball in that Friday game.
Yep.
I caught the Seminoles off guard. Here's Tyler Howard, who singled his last time up but was thrown out on the base pass. Ooh, chops it to third, but Moran coming in with a nice play. But on that play, Wright does move over to third, putting him just 90 feet away.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's one heck of a scoop over at third base, though, by Moran. Yeah, that's right in that middle in-between hop area. And it's almost like a do-or-die moment, right, when you're an infielder charging, when you're going to commit to it. But also, to your point, head-up base running there by Wright to make sure that that ball is thrown, and he took off right away.
UC Davis does have some speedsters in the lineup. Kai Malt will come up and he'll look at strike 1. 1 for 2 on the game. He singled in the first inning. Grounded out to shortstop in the fourth. Actually, it was lined out on that nice play that Charlie Bates made in the fourth.
And then, of course, Philip, here we are, 2 outs. Once again for UC Davis. This is where they like their singles. There's one of those. Another one right now would bring home the go-ahead run for them.
Steves in the driver's seat at 0-2. Hit over to Gian. He's going to play it well. Inning over. UC Davis not able to get the run across. They leave a man on one hit in the top half of the fifth. We go to the bottom half of the fifth. Still 1-1 here on the farm. On the bottom of the fifth, it's going to be the 7, 8, 9 hitters, 2 up for Stanford. That's Reynolds, Nadai, and Stoll. Eli Solom is back out on the rubber. And on this Monday night across college baseball, we'll give you some games to report on for the games that are playing or have already gone final. Like there was a matchup between BYU and Grand Canyon where Grand Canyon got the 10-3 win over the Cougars. And interestingly enough, there were a couple of Monday games in the Patriot League as Army beat Lafayette 9-8, and Bucknell beat Navy 5-4. Both of those games were actually extra inning games. Army walked off Lafayette in the 10th, while Bucknell walked off the Midshipmen in the 13th. Brady Reynolds with a hard hit, single to right to lead off the inning.
They got on Hirschkorn in a hurry.
And just jumped on the pitch there. And, and for anybody that hears to hear it, those matchups in the Patriot League has some significance because with Navy sweeping Lafayette, getting their conference record of 15-8, and Bucknell walking off against Navy, getting their conference record of 15-8, that puts the Patriot League in a 3-way tie for first.
Gotta love it.
You talk about some parity in college baseball in a conference where your chances of making regionals comes down to how you do either winning the conference outright or in the conference tournament. Again, not a lot of strength and schedule there on the East Coast. Nadai ground ball to McNeil. He goes to right. So Hirschkorn, double play.
You talked about it earlier on about how good of a fielding team they are and where they rank returning double plays. So one, you have to be solid defensively, but also give your credit to the pitching staff as well, where That's an off-speed pitch. You're not giving much to hit there, and you find a way to force weak contact.
Nolan Stoll will come up with 2 outs, and the base is empty now. Takes ball 1 as the freshman still homerless on the season, so we're still trying to look for that first long ball. He'll take that one high.
One quick note, too, as you were talking about the Patriot League and that 3-way tie. I just wanted to scroll because I wanted to see those final matchups. There is a chance that whoever wins the Patriot League is going to come down to Army versus Navy. That's the final series of the year, too. You're telling me that might determine it? Oh, my goodness, let's go. That's got to fire you up.
Or as Jordan, you being a football guy,
there you go.
The Army-Navy
exactly.
game, always significant in college football. Well, it's also true in college baseball as well when the two schools face each other on the diamond. Stoll works the 4-pitch walk.
I haven't had a chance to make my way over to Annapolis, right, where Navy's campus is, but we actually had the opportunity to play at West Point my junior year here, and I'd highly recommend if you're a college sports fan, not even just football, find a way to make your way to one of the service academies to check out a game. It is absolutely incredible.
And always get enjoyment when the Army-Navy game rolls around. Very strong tradition between both those schools. Rentaro Sasaki back to the plate, 0 for 2 on the night. He reached on an error in the first, but popped out to McNeil at short in the third. Take that one outside. The fastball from Solom. This is for ball 1.
2 fastballs to start off Rentaro, so pretty interesting approach. Usually the strong lefty, he's seeking those out. You saw first pitch swinging again. Wonder where the off speed's going to come into play.
Well, he threw it there for strike 2 and catch Sasaki off guard. Rentaro, during his 5-game winning streak, he's driven in 8 RBIs and is hitting .278 at the plate with 3 home runs and a .778 slugging percentage. Runner takes off. Sasaki loops it out in the center field. It's falling fast in front of Malt. He'll have to play it on the hop. Stoll able to advance to third on the Texas Leaguer single from the slugger from Japan.
And he was going with Stoll right off the pitch as well. I think he might have been able to get to third anyway, just because it's 2 outs, so he's going on contact as it is. That for sure helped him out there as well.
Yeah, so that allows Stanford to have runners at the corners with 2 out, with a chance to get back in front with Stoll at third and Sasaki at first, with Court McDonald now coming to the plate. Gonna take that one high for ball 1. McDonald reached on the fielder's choice in the first and grounded out to third, or excuse me, out to first in the third, but did drive in a run.
That's a good stop by Lee behind the plate.
And you get a mound visit here by UC Davis, trying to check on Solom. And there is an arm up in the Aggies bullpen down the left field line.
Looks like a righty. But another big moment now in this game, obviously, when you look at you look at the 4th inning for UC Davis when they tied the game up at 1, or they had a chance to do some more damage there. Stanford limited it to just the 1 run. And now Stanford, with the ability, this is the second time in the game they have a runner at third base. They were so good with 2 outs yesterday. Can they find that magic again here today?
Let's see. McDonald is ahead 2-0. So I'm able to rear back and fire it in for strike one. That was Zach Thornton, who's the pitching coach for UC Davis, that came out to talk to his freshman arm. Missed high. Count now 3-1 for McDonald. Solom in jeopardy of loading the bases here with Eric Gion waiting on deck. Popped up. We're on the third base side, but a foul ball.
All the kids taking off.
Fair number of fans here tonight at Suckin' Diamond, both wearing Stanford and UC Davis colors.
Everyone bundled up right now, looking at that sunset and getting a little chilly.
Payoff, fouled again by McDonald, trying to win the duel here against Solom.
I'm just so curious, right? As when I was a kid, I was on the heftier side. I just wonder how many foul balls do I run after before I just give up because I'm tired. Right? It's like, okay, I'm not really even getting anything out of this.
And McDonald shoots it in the center field. It's going to fall for a base hit. That will allow Stoll to score easily. And the Cardinal are back up 2-1.
Good battle, and Court McDonald, you are rewarded for your efforts. Again, that's a solid contact single right back up the middle. Did a good job there fouling off pitches till he found one he can really do something with. Solid single there to left center.
Now, Court McDonald continues to become the RBI salesman as he's driven in both of Stanford's runs in this game. So the inning will continue with Eric Gion now up to the plate, 1 for 2 in the game. Ooh, doesn't waste time there. It looked like it came off the mask of Ryan Lee.
And that was a strong cut, too, there by Gion.
Gion with 20 RBIs on the season, a .315 batting average, and 8 home runs. Puts that one in the air in right center field. But moving over is Howard. He'll make the play to retire the side. Stanford able to get the lead back thanks to the RBI single from Court McDonald. So it's a 2-1 game as we head into the 6th inning. Philip Hall and Jordan Watkins with you here on the ACC Network Extra. Well, Stanford able to produce at the plate as they get the lead back in the bottom half of the 5th, 2-1 game. Court McDonald driving in 2 on the night. So UC Davis is going to work to try to even up the score or possibly take the lead with Ryan Lee to lead off the top of the 6th. Look at strike one. Lee 0 for 2 on the game with a strikeout and a ground out to second. Steves misses away with the breaking ball.
He's looking for that shutdown inning right now for Stanford. Oh, what a pitch.
Yeah, big swing and a miss there from Lee for strike 2. And Steve's making him look funny like Bugs Bunny there.
What's up, Doc? And that was a come out of your shoe swing, and you pulled the string on him at 79 miles an hour.
Ooh, try to bring the hook again, but doesn't get the call from Luis Hernandez.
I know his only opinion that matters is his, but that looked pretty good to me.
Oh, 2-2. Goes with it again and able to get Lee on strikes.
I like it there. I like that approach. You go a lot of off speed, again, like, a lot of times too, when you're in these situations, your best indicator of what to throw next is going to be the reaction to what you threw before. And again, you can see it. Lee was fastball hunting and it was just way out in front of all of those breaking balls.
It was off balance there, and that at bat by UC Davis's catcher. Elijah McNeil fly ball to center field, but McDonald will Cadillac back and make the catch for the second out.
Oh, the dog's back out. There you go.
He has stole the show tonight, I will say. I wonder if he's able to sign autographs.
Right, let's just get like a little ink pad, just put the paw on there.
Yeah, there you go. Here's Corey Williams to the plate. 0 for 1 in the game. He reached on the walk in his last plate appearance.
You talk about so much about people and players that inspire that next generation, right, to come through, especially when sports. It's good to see the same thing with the dogs, right? It's good to know that Airbud's legacy is still living on here in college athletics, right?
For sure. So you get a good look at the young pup there.
Doggy.
Trying to remember, I think it was at one point where it was in the major leagues. I want to say it was the A's that started that gimmick of having like ball dogs or bat dogs. You know, it's like
maybe I know I've seen a good bit of it in the minors.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
In the minor leagues, they do it a good bit.
Yeah, I know it's common there for sure.
Yeah. Well, sometimes those dogs get a little nervous and they relieve themselves out there on the field, but fortunately, we haven't had that here today. Even with that in mind, it's always fun to see the different Bark in the Park games as well, all across the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had one here a few weeks ago. I believe it was during the Miami series where we had the Bark in the Park day. Or actually, no. It was the Clemson series when we had it. Yeah.
Softball usually gets one in too.
Williams going to try again with the 2-2 pitch. Bounce back to the mound. Steve's going to make the solid throw over to Sasaki. And UC Davis goes 3 up, 3 down in the top of the 6th. We will go to the bottom half with Tokheim, Moran, and Bates due up for Stanford. On the bottom of the 6th, Stanford still lead 2-1 over UC Davis in this Monday midweek matchup here on the ACC Network Extra. As UC Davis will make another call to the pin as they're going to bring out Carter Spates. Carter Spates, pretty experienced with the Aggies pitching staff.
Yeah, the 6'3" junior, last pitched 5 days ago in the matchup against Sacramento State. Went 1 inning of good pitching there. Nothing coming across against him. Hasn't really been the story the whole year, though, as he has a 7.8 ERA across 15 innings of work, 22 hits given up, 15 runs, 13 of those have been earned, with 10 strikeouts and 8 walks.
Yeah, junior from Tustin, California, so close near the San Diego area.
Had 16 appearances a year ago. There was 2 separate appearances last season where we had at least 3 strikeouts. And kind of taking a page out of Steve's book here early on. A lot of the breaking balls here early.
Yep. Farmington is more closer to Anaheim.
Oh, you're going to get SoCal mad at you.
Lived here for my entire life. Tokheim, high fly ball to left field. Ranching over it is Woldridge, and he'll make the play. 1 gone. Forgive me for anybody from Tustin that's listening into this game. The furthest south I've been My whole life being in California is Huntington Beach.
Okay. How about that shot?
Yeah, full moon out tonight here in the Bay Area.
It's been like your very stereotypical Bay Area day, right? It was pretty cloudy to start the day off, and then that marine layer kind of goes away. You get the beautiful sunshine. You don't really see any clouds out until you get back to the hills on the backside of campus.
Can't deny the weather that we get here year-round here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, there's a reason why everything's so expensive.
Don't get me started on the gas.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, my F-150, I don't want to hear it. But, I mean, yeah, you see days like this, 300 days out of the year. It's almost like you have to pay the weather tax in that standpoint.
J.J. Moran, a San Diego native. Sure, he's known for the nice weather where he's from.
No question.
2-1. Spades will regroup here. Oh, and like it clips. Yeah. Moran there on the elbow guard. He'll take his base.
You heard that second sound kind of gave it away there. Obviously, if you're J.J. Moran, you'd rather hit, but you'll take getting on base, and Stanford will take it right now, too, as they try to find that insurance run.
As I like to say, he's going to wear it like a fashion model. All of it works out for Stanford as Charlie Bates will come to the plate. And the UC Davis infield playing in double plate depth, trying to see if they could turn it. Of course, that is what they are known for. Strike one into Bates with the fastball at 92.
Another eventful day for Charlie at shortstop.
And made a nice grab, grabbing Kai Maul to a base hit. At times, though, we also see Charlie Bates deliver with the bat. He does have 8 home runs on the season, hitting .265, but the power has kind of calmed down a little bit in the last string of games that he's played. 1-1. Moran taking off for second. The throw in is in time, and that's right, a beautiful tag from McNeil. There's 2 gone.
If you're Stanford, I mean, you found the perfect situation to run, right? It's a breaking ball that was low, and then the throw down from the lead was over on the third base side. Again, a really good tag there by McNeil to make up for it.
And the second time that a Stanford base runner has been thrown out by Ryan Lee. McNeil going to be the one to close out the inning with the routine ground ball out. Stanford not able to add some extension to the lead. UC Davis keeps it a 1-run game as we go to the 7th here at Sunken Diamond. Back here in the top of the 7th, and just to really recap this 1-run ball game between UC Davis and Stanford, it all began in the 3rd when Corbin McDonald delivered with the first run of the game on the RBI ground out. But UC Davis battled back in the top of the 4th with a big hit coming on their end. And Stanford answered back with Court McDonald delivering once again in the bottom of the 5th to get us where we are now in the top of the 7th. So I throw it back to my partner, Jordan Watkins, to bring you through the 7th and 8th inning.
Thank you very much. Braden Wooldridge will get things going 2 for 2. And in this game so far today, with a couple of singles, one brought home a run back in the 4th inning, as Philip just pointed out. And as he showed to bunt there, pulled it away for ball 2. So Austin Steves on the bump for Stanford. And you see the movement on that pitch in for strike 1. Steve's really been relying on the breaking ball as this game goes on. Now at the 30-pitch mark. It's already gone 2 1/3. This is outside. The count 3-1.
It looks good now. The Stanford bullpen is back on the clock with From the looks of the catch, is Thomas warming up.
Catches, I believe, pitched Saturday. Again, another breaking ball in there for strike 2.
Yeah, and Saturday was really the game where the Stanford bullpen, had to clutch up. They locked in heavy against Florida State to outlast them in extra innings.
Payoff pitch. Hit the other way. That's going to find the grass over in left center field. So Wooldridge times it up and gets a leadoff single. Second time in this game that UC Davis has had their leadoff hitter on. And now Hirschkorn will come up as it'll be Eli Burnham who's coming up now as a pinch hitter for UC Davis. Burnham coming in, batting .283 on the year, 3 driven in.
Braden Wooldridge with 3 singles on the game and 1,000 right now at the plate with an RBI.
You'll always take a 3-hit game when you step to the park. First pitch strike to Burnham, the freshman, playing for his hometown team, is from Davis, California. He's a big-time catcher for the Blue Devils. Hit .410. 4 home runs his senior year.
Davis Senior High School, loyal to the soil.
That's an even count here, 1-1. Does have a 3-hit game to his name so far this year, back in March 24th. They were at Pacific. And I got a piece of him.
Yeah, just caught him on the leg there. Or UC Davis. Now some traffic on the base path, still nobody out.
Yeah, welcome to the game, Eli. Step on in and get hit by a pitch to get a free trip to first. And now, big opportunity here for Joey Wright. Talked about 2 innings now where UC Davis has had their leadoff hitter on. Joey Wright's the other one, or he had a leadoff single back in the 5th inning, but he was stranded at third base. Squaring up to bunt. Fastball high and outside. Sometimes, Philip, you'll see where just even having something else that's right there in the strike zone can be a bit of a distraction for pitchers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Squaring up again. Popped it up, and that's going to be out of play over by where we are. That's probably the closest I've ever seen as a ball getting up here to the press box.
Yeah, I feel like that would hardly happen. There's like a 1,000,000-to-1 shot we would get a foul ball here in the booth. But yeah, just at about, just in front of us in the walkway, just underneath the broadcast booth.
I had to make sure I'd save Yosef in the second row. I don't think he would have been ready for it. 1-1 count. Another bunt popped up. And Stoll laying out for a good effort, but couldn't come up with the grab.
Always a tough play for a catcher to make on a pop-up chance like that. You would love for it to happen with nobody out, but, Stoll just a little bit too late to the ball there.
Now 1-2. We'll see what UC Davis decides to do here, if they want to keep the fun attempt on or not.
Corner field still playing in for Stanford. You got Moran and Sasaki playing to the edge of the infield grass.
And then, of course, the middle infielders, more double play depth, if you will. 1-2 coming up as Steve steps off. Of course, Yosef, Rekadon, our tech ops lead right here behind us. Always got to shout out the great crew that gets this production out to you. I know Doug would have been ready to catch it. I just don't know if Yosef would have been.
Even either one of us, all I know is nobody in here brought a glove.
I have these 2 big old mitts right here. I don't need a glove. I'm ready to go. Built different, as they like to say. And now here comes Thomas Eager. You wonder here with some of those step-offs if that was just to buy a little bit more time. As it looks like that will be the case.
Interesting move here. It looks like Eager's going to go to the pin and bring Thomas out in a 2-strike situation.
Oh, we've seen this. We saw it a little earlier, mid at bat in this game. We saw it yesterday as well for Stanford against Florida State, where they did this. They made changes mid at bat. Where I believe yesterday you saw Trevor Moore come in a 2-0 count and ended up getting a big time strikeout in that situation. So now we'll see if history can repeat itself for Stanford. Cassius Thomas coming out. We'll take a quick break and tell you more about him here in a second. It is indeed Cassius Thomas coming to the mound for Stanford in mid at bat here, as it's a 1-2 count against Joey Wright, the 9-hole hitter for UC Davis. As there's a runner on first and second as well. There's Cassius Thomas pitched in that Saturday game. Philip, you had a chance to see him. And you talk about the bullpen really having to stand up and bow their backs, if you will. 3 innings of work of 1 run given up for Thomas against Florida State in that game.
Yeah, Cassius has been on point this season out the pen, and usually like in football, you have your QB1 where Cassius Thomas is like RP1, like relief pitcher number 1, as far as who David Esker knows he can rely on coming out the pen. So yeah, but he held it down against Florida State, going 3 innings and only allowing 1 run.
And first pitch, ground ball. Only 1 play, though, for Rentaro to make as he takes it to first. A productive out there by Joey Wright as both runners will move over. So 2 in scoring position now for the Aggies with 1 down. The best thing for them is they go to the top of the lineup. Also, while we were there at break, I got a text heads up. So Scott Reese, who he's very, very well known here in the Stanford area, of course, called football and men's basketball for many years before coming back to the Bay here recently. Said there was one that actually did come here in the press box, foul ball during the Clemson series. Wonder what happens there. Do you get workers' comp or anything for that if you get hit by something?
It's hard to say. They always give the warning, watch out for flying balls and bats before the games. I guess that goes for us broadcasters in the booth, too.
Well, it looks like a pitch clock violation there on Thomas, so there's an automatic ball. It's a 1-0 count, but then the first actual pitch he throws is a strike in to Zach Story.
And no sweat there. Hoping to put something on the ground.
One thing interesting here to note, we already saw a sacrifice bunt from Zach Story. We know UC Davis has been trying to do small ball, as there's going to be a pop-up in the shallow right. Obviously not going to be far enough at all for Wooldridge to even think about going home. So a good result there for Thomas. And again, I was bringing up the sacrifice because you were thinking maybe for a second, you try to go with the squeeze play there potentially for UC Davis, trying to continue on with the small ball, or?
Yeah, I was surprised there. Zach Story, who was up at the plate, not really doing much on the night. Of course, the top part of the UC Davis order hasn't really been swinging big, but, I feel like in a situation like that, why not try to risk a squeeze play?
Well, if anything were to continue here for UC Davis, it lies in the bat in the hands of Tyler Howard. Does have a single. He was picked off trying to steal second back in the third inning. Chopper hit foul. Counts even 1-1. And just another quick note, too, about Scott Reese. So we had the chance to obviously call the game here yesterday, which is pretty cool because, again, growing up for me, playing here at Stanford for football, Scott Reese was the play-by-play guy that was calling my games on the radio. So now to call a game with him, that was a pretty cool full-circle moment.
Oh, man, I bet.
Chopper foul, and he'll spin away more so from the line. I should have asked him, what was your call like back in 2016 Kansas State when a certain defensive lineman had a safety?
Oh, is that right?
I should have asked him about that. You don't get so many opportunities to do so.
Let me ask you this: was that on the road at Kansas State, or was it just in the parking lot?
Yeah, that was right over here,
like across the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. 1-2 count. 2 outs here. Comes a pitch. Low and away. Gets stopped by Stoll to keep it in front. Of course, now Troy Clardy's the one that's taken over as the voice of Stanford football, men's basketball the last few years. You'll find him in Sunken Diamond as well as that ball gets all the way to the backstop. An easy run coming across there as Wooldridge would come home, and going over to third will be Burnham. I tell you what, it seemed like for most of this inning that Cassius Thomas was going to come in and get out of this jam, but a wild pitch is going to bring home the tying run.
Yeah, just, a pitch that got away from Thomas, and of course of all this foul territory, like a pitch to the backstop is always a big concern, especially when you have a runner at third.
Not out of danger yet. Now you still have another run that's 90 feet away, and there is ball 4. Runners will be on the corners now with 2 down. UC Davis trying to continue on some 2-out magic here.
Yeah, this is where the Aggies have held their own. These 2-out rallies have occurred, and even though in a low-scoring game like this, they've been able to put traffic on the base paths with 2 outs.
We've talked so much about those 2-out singles. Boy, would they love another one right now. Kai Maltz be the one to try to do it, who did single in the third. First pitch swinging, fouls it off.
And, just having that pattern of if we get a guy on with 2 outs, at least, we can try to keep that momentum going. And, UC Davis, we did see that pattern of the 2-out singles, and now it's really starting to show.
And one correction with that, it was back in the first when Malt had his 2-out single.
Yeah, you had a 2-out single from him, 2-out single from Braden Wooldridge, 2-out single from Elijah McNeil. He came around to score when he got it.
1-1. Slung and hit to right center. Long run coming. Can they get there? Yes, they can. Good job by McDonald to bring in the grab. But UC Davis once again ties the game up as we head to the bottom of the 7th. It's stretch time at Sunken. Tied at 2. Tied at 2, coming to the bottom of the 7th inning. We will have one change defensively here for UC Davis. So, you saw Eli Burnham come in and pitch hit for Houston Hirschkorn. That last inning, he'll stay in and play first base. 24 now over at first. 27 is at the plate. And Brady Reynolds Spade still on the bump for the Aggies. As they try to beat the Stanford team here for the first time since 2019. Chopper over to second. And waiting on it is Wright throwing over to first for out number 1.
And last meeting between these two, it was last year, April 21st, where Stanford run ruled the Aggies 11-1. Of course, the last one-run matchup between these two was back actually on 2018 on February 19th, where Stanford won up in Davis 3-2.
Stanford usually pretty familiar with Big West opponents. They'll usually play them earlier in the season, to your point, right, the February game. A lot of times you'll see Stanford matched up with Cal State Fullerton to start off the year, whether that's down in Southern California or the Titans come up here. There's Nadi, the 1-0 count. We talked about it a little yesterday, Philip, but of course this is your preseason All-American right here for Stanford, and not the year that I think that for the most part that he had hoped to have or Stanford thought he would have, but still a lot of season left. Stanford's going to make some noise in the post or pushing for postseason. A lot of that's going to rely on how number 6 plays the rest of the way.
Yeah, of course, Jimmy Nada was sidelined with injuries to miss a handful of games, and ever since being back in the lineup, trying to find the swing again. And he was the regular second baseman. Of course, Eric Gian now, playing his way into the lineup regularly as to make Nadi, pick up the pace, either playing in the outfield like he is tonight or having to DH some games.
And that's one way to try to help get things going. You draw the walk on 4 pitches. And now Nolan Stoll coming up to the plate. He has singled, and then there's also walked with scored a run, that coming back in the 5th.
And I think even for David Esker too, I'm sure he probably has a migraine for, oh man, do I pencil in Nadi or Gian for his games? It's hard to keep both of them out the lineup. It doesn't matter where you put them.
That's also where it helps the positional versatility. You can find different ways to get both in. See the pinch runner coming in for Stanford, Philip Chong, who very frequently has that role here for Stanford. Comes in as the go-ahead run. Big cut there from Stoll, but comes up empty.
He spelled Philip Chong with 1 L, not 2 L's like how you spell my name. Of course, 2 L's. Sometimes people confuse it with the 1 L, but it's okay.
Well, the other way with foul is Stanford. They're trying to do tonight what they've done the last 5 games, have no L's.
That's a good one. Good one.
That's why they pay me the big bucks around here, It's an 0-2 count now for Stoll. Taking his hacks here for sure, being aggressive, and that comes after he had the 4-pitch walk in the 5th inning. 0-2. In the dirt, another good stop by Lee. He's been pretty impressive behind the plate.
Oh, yeah, he's been looking good. He's thrown out 2 runners. He's had some pretty good defensive plays and has kept the battery going for the pitchers that came in for UC Davis tonight.
1-2. Runner goes, swung on and missed. That throw, though, in the dirt. Chong almost overslid second base, but holds on to the bag with his left foot. The strikeout was Stoll, but Chong now at second.
No throw up that time for Ryan Lee. Even though he put a good one off, and Chong kind of gambled a little bit with the slide at the base. Stanford trying to put themselves in a good spot with their slugger from Japan coming up.
He was the hero last night, and he put a big impact on this one here today. Had a single back in the 5th. 1 for 3 in today's game. And takes the first pitch. It was on off speed, but it was in there for strike 1. As we talk about defensively the job that Ryan Lee's done, one thing to note, as I've watched him, especially this last few innings, doesn't really go with the one knee down too much. a bit more traditional catcher stance as Sasaki fouls it off.
You just think about some of the great catchers in the game, of recent years, like, Yadier Molina, Cal Raleigh. The one knee stance is good if your pitcher is having dominance at the plate, but if you're going to have speed on the base pass, it's always good to go for that 2-foot stance to get ready for a chance to throw a runner out.
Of course, there were a lot of generations prior. There's a sense of pride, right? I'm sure they're happy and proud if they're tuning in to see Ryan Lee in a traditional way, and then also too the way he's been able to move laterally, keep balls in front of him. Sometimes a lot of that they play into each other. 1-2 outside. There he is again with a good stop.
Remember when the Phillies had Carlos Ruiz, that catcher? He's known for having both legs, kind of like in a crisscross applesauce kind of look of a catcher. But the Phillies had such dominant pitching where there was really no need to be in a 2-foot squat.
Inside, that one's going to get away from him though, as Chong is going to fly around, big turn around third, but he'll stay there. Yeah, really not much, though, on that one that Ryan Lee could do.
Chong, man, he made a big turn there at third. And again, we talk about all the foul territory, ranging from the backstop down to the bullpens. I mean, he could have gambled there. He could have.
Count now full to the Stanford slugger. Here's the payoff. Swung and hit hard to center, ranging over to his left. A little bit of a sinking liner, but Malt able to make the grab for out number 3. Well, Sasaki hit it on the button, but it's going to be caught for and out as Stanford strands one at third. Going to the 8th inning now. Still tied at 2 here on ACC Network Extra. So get ready for the 8th inning. Still deadlocked at 2. Stanford making a defensive change as Philip Chong came in as a pinch runner. He'll remain in the game over in left field. So now your defensive alignment left to right. Chong in left, McDonald center, and then Reynolds is in right field. As Cassius Thomas gets ready for his second inning of work. And here we are with Ryan Lee starting things off for UC Davis as he still looks for his first hit of the evening. Lee did not get a hit against Long Beach State in that final game. Does have the longest hit streak this year, sitting at 5 games. Early in the season, being aggressive early on and fouls it back.
0 for 3 tonight with 2 strikeouts at the plate, so trying to see if he can turn around here late in the game.
No one. Fouls that one out of play past the first base side stands. Lee now, batting average sitting at 222. Fastball outside. Good take. Cassius Thomas in year 3 at Stanford, starting off his career over in that research triangle, if you will, at Duke University. 1-2, again, tailing outside, low and away. You really think about that ACC footprint over in North Carolina, where there's Duke, UNC, NC State, right all in that small radius of each other. Of course, Wake Forest right in there too. And that one just missing outside. Good eye there by Lee to work the count full.
Yeah, a lot of good baseball on that side of the country in that territory of the ACC.
Even outside the ACC, you think about South Carolina when they have those runs, as that's the line drive. Base hit by Lee over to left. Good at bat there by Ryan Lee, and he gets his first hit of the game. Now Elijah McNeil will come up.
Another hard hit ball. Thomas is giving up a couple of those now since coming into the game, but UC Davis in a good spot with the middle of the order to up here in this inning.
1 for 3 today. Showing bunt, tried to put one down and fouled it back. You talk about UC Davis being in the middle of the lineup, but going out of the realm of possibility for small ball here for the Aggies. It's a good frame for McNeil to play, about 6'3", a little over 200 pounds. There's the bunt down. Thomas, he has a chance at second, but threw it over the head of the shortstop Bates covering, so everyone's going to be safe. Wow, they had a chance to cut the lead runner, and a throwing error there by Thomas is going to have first and second now for UC Davis.
I'm not going to say it was the right play it was the right or the wrong play to make, but in a situation like that, you really just want to go for the easy out. Thomas just a little bit too overzealous with the throw there. Going to be close, and it does hurt Stanford here.
I think personally it's the right read. It's an aggressive play, but they had a chance to get him, but I think, he felt a little rushed and just didn't get the accurate throw on. Sometimes you hear a lot of people talk about it with pitchers, right? The hardest throw that they have to make are the ones where they're not on the mound. They're so used to throwing at that downward angle, and it kind of throws them off a little bit. There is some action in the Stanford bullpen as Thomas Eager comes out talking with the whole infield right now. Luis Hernandez is out there now, just waiting for his opportunity to crash the party.
For Thomas, his focus and his mentality has to regroup here. You still have the chance for the double play to be turned to at least, get UC Davis on the ropes, but you're going to have to find a way to just execute at the plate and make sure your infield can stay locked in as well.
Now you'll have another pinch hitter coming in for UC Davis. Jackson Murphy, the junior, comes in. Big opportunity for him. Runners on first and second. He shows bunt, pulls it away for strike one. Murphy, the junior, out of Fresno, California, 211 on the year, 12 driven in, 2 homers. 244 season to go in the 38 games of action he had. Trying to move the line on down. Gets the bunt down, and Thomas this time will go over to first. And it's another successful sacrifice for UC Davis, as now they have 2 in scoring position with Lee over at third and McNeil at second.
I think that time Thomas is more aware of the situation, just knowing, there's nobody covering third. Let me not try to aim for it to get the lead runner. Let me just get the simple out.
Here we are. Biggest at bat up to this point in this game. Braden Wooldridge. Stanford has not found a way yet to get him out. Comes to the plate, 3 for 3, all 3 singles. One has driven home a run. And there's a ground ball on the right side. Nice stop over second by Gian, but it will get the run home. So Stanford does retire Wooldridge, but it comes with a price. The Aggies now take the lead as Lee comes home to score.
Yeah, you wish that play could have happened a few hitters ago, but I'm sure Thomas is going to sacrifice an out for a run, have 2 away here, but now you just focus on putting the last guy away and get Stanford back to the plate. Small ball is a killer sometimes.
Remember, the threat's still there for UC Davis with Eli Burnham at the plate. Now an insurance run potentially. It's 90 feet away with Elijah McNeil at third base. It's a 1-0. High ball, two. Burnham starts with that bat way out over the plate, where he brings it back in to start his load up. Takes the ball there 2-1. It's strike 2-1.
Kind of comparable to Matt Olson, like what a right-handed version.
Yeah. Matt Olson doing a phenomenal job this year for my hometown team, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Check swing. Did he go around? Oof. Tough call there, but Brandon Cooper said no, he didn't go. 3-1. How about the start for the Braves this year?
Yeah, they're on fire.
Only team in Major League Baseball to not lose a series. And in fact, they've won every single series so far this year. 3-1 is in there for strike two.
Everybody's hyping up the Mets, hyping up the Phillies in the NL East, but Atlanta, I think they got the pieces back with that core with Michael Harris, Ronald Acuna versus Matt Olson.
Hit the other way and caught by Sasaki for out number 3. Well, UC Davis, though, they take the lead as it was a ground out by Wooldridge to bring home the runner. We will now head to the bottom of the 8th inning. We'll see if Stanford can tie it up as they trail 3-2. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Another new pitcher coming on for UC Davis as Tyler Wood, the 6'3" righty from right here in the Bay Area. Well, he's from the Bay Area, but not right here. He's more in the East Bay. De La Salle High School graduate in his junior year, as he has a 6.91 ERA on the year and 27 the third innings of work, 26 strikeouts, a 1-2 record. And he has the task right now to keep UC Davis here in the lead after they gained it in the top half of the inning. But he's going to have to go through 2, 3, and 4 here in the lineup for Stanford, starting off with Court McDonald. McDonald on the game has brought home both of the Stanford runs, one with a single and then also a ground out.
Well, Jordan, we've seen this movie before with Stanford.
Yes, we have.
Down 1 run late in the game.
Gets all the way to the backstop. Again, it's 8-7 walk-off win for Stanford on Saturday. It's so funny. If someone were to look at the score, right, the final score from the game on Sunday, you don't think 7-4 as a walk-off win, but it was a walk-off grand slam.
Down to Stanford's last at bat.
Yeah.
It'll be down 4-3 going to the 9th inning.
I see a couple women here in Sunken Diamond right now that know a little bit about walk-off grand slams as well. Some of Stanford softballs here.
That's right. Yeah, the softball team.
They had that walk-off grand slam against Florida State.
I don't think people back in Tallahassee like us that much.
No, I don't think so. Of course, you go back to even football season and how that game ended here at Stanford. The goal line stop on the 2-point conversion. Grand slam of Stanford. Addison Shepard, the phenomenal freshman for Stanford women's softball. As McDonald turns on that one, and it's going to go foul over to the bullpen.
So on it there, pitch that ran high and in. And McDonald does have the power.
Yep. Payoff pitch number 2 coming. Sees another one. That's one of the things, too. You see that veteran experience in the singer with McDonald. If it's anything close, obviously you don't have to try to get the best swing on it. Just get your defensive swing out and try to look to see another pitch. As the count goes further and further, more of the advantage goes to the hitter. Ground ball the other way. It's going to go right over to McNeil, who makes a strong throw. I tell you what, he's got an impressive, easy, strong arm in that shortstop hole.
And I can see why the Giants were looking at him coming out of high school. Of course, as mentioned, 20th round pick out of Dublin High, and the upside on McNeil is there. Good body for middle infielder, 6'3", 207. And even like the bat's going to come too. Even with just 4 home runs on the season, which is the team high for UC Davis. He gets stronger. Gets a little bit more quicker over there at short and gets the arm at a much higher level. He's going to be in that pro conversation by the time he's a junior.
And to your point, you could even tell just when I was watching him run around the bases, he has good speed. Still feeling out his body, filling it out as well. There are a lot of tools to work with at shortstop for UC Davis, that's for sure. 1-0 count to Gian, a grounder up the middle. It's going to be another opportunity for McNeil, and then got a little funky hop there. Gian will reach on the single. Tell you what, that was a very unusual hop, and it just went right over the glove of McNeil at short, but Stanford will take it as a tying run now on base, and Teddy Tokheim will come to the plate.
Yeah, just got eaten up there by McNeil, and we were hyping him up on the defensive side. Didn't show it that time, but Gian, he's had the Midas touch dating back to the weekend against Florida State.
Does that go down as an announcer's jinx? If so, I apologize to Mr. McNeil. That's not what we were going for there.
Yeah, so they do score it as a single, by the way, for folks at home.
Understandably so. 0-1 count now to Teddy Tokheim looking for his first hit of the game. And he was looking for more than just a hit on that swing, but came up empty.
Yeah, high heat coming out of the hands of Wood that time.
Wood sits usually in the upper 80s, around 90 for the most part. And Tokheim fouls that one away the other way. You see Stanford doing a good job when they get these 2 strike counts. Find a way to stay alive and then see if there's a pitch you can do something with.
And just work the plate and protect. That's got to be the MO for Stanford here this late in the game. Tokheim's 5-game hitting streak is still in jeopardy.
Outside, pitch, the throw behind the runner. Gian back easily. Not a bad idea, though, there, if you're Ryan Lee.
He's been gunning down base runners all night, so wouldn't see why not try the backdoor at first.
1-2. In on the hands, Tokheim fouls it off again.
Notice Tokheim, he's been getting jammed a lot. Those pitches running inside, just needs to get the hands around quicker. We know he has the bat speed to do it.
We'll do 1 and 2 again. As Gian gets his lead. Pitch, that one hit well the other way. Going back is Howard, and he'll camp underneath it right in front of the warning track. And there's out number 2. Tokheim gave it a ride, but once again, the ball does not fly here very well at night.
Yeah, second time he's flown out to right in this game. That time didn't hit as deep as he did the first fly ball to right, but it's all about trying to stay inside the baseball on the swing there.
Now here's J.J. Moran looking for his first hit of the game. Has reached once when he was hit by a pitch, but got caught stealing that back in the 6th inning. Curveball, missing low and away.
Moran did not swing at the first pitch there, and we know that he does have a tendency of doing that. It's good for him to show some patience.
And a little outside 2-0. Good opportunity now and a good situation for J.J. Moran as he has a hitter's count. outfield and just the defense in general for the most part playing them straight up. 2-0. Inside, good eye.
A little bit close there. Not a bad pitch for Tyler Wood to deliver. He is behind, though, so he's going to have to find his way back.
It tells me the take sign might be on all the way here for J.J. Moran. We'll see. 3-0. In there for strike one.
That was down Main Street. Understandably, in a game this tight, you don't want to, swing 3-0. It doesn't matter how tasty the pitch looks.
3-1. Sky to right. Long run coming in for Howard. Sliding attempt and couldn't make the grab in foul territory. Good hustle there all the way in by Tyler Howard. Just couldn't get there, but another life now for J.J. Moran.
And did UC Davis get lucky there for that ball to go foul? Tyler Howard having to hustle maybe about 60 feet just to chase that one down, but, just a little too late to the ball there.
That's one of those situations where obviously UC Davis is happy he went foul, but maybe for Stanford, we'll see how that plays out. You're just happy that he didn't catch it. Payoff pitch coming. Yeah, head start for Gian at first. There he goes, and another foul ball by Moran.
Moran might want to try to look towards the gaps, or Gian's going to be running on the pitch regardless. So, any ball he could hit out in the open field.
Good battle here between Wood and Moran. Another payoff. Swung on and missed. He pulled the string on him. What a pitch there by Tyler Wood. Stanford strands another runner at first base. We'll head to the final frame of at least regulation. We'll see what happens, especially the way Stanford baseball games have gone as of late. UC Davis is going to look to try to get some insurance runs here as they lead 3-2 going to the top of the ninth inning. 3-2 lead for the Aggies. They've scored a run now in back-to-back innings. They'd love to get at least one more here. Get some insurance on this 3-2 lead that they have. And if they're going to do it, it'll be against the new pitcher, Ben Reimers, who is coming into the game for Stanford in relief, trying to hold it right here. I'll tell you a little bit more about him, and also to take us with play-by-play, right on back to Phil Ball.
Thank you, Jordan. As we're now in the ninth inning in a one-run game, UC Davis holding the edge against Stanford as Ben Reimers, the junior out of Aliso Vale, California, will come in, try to hold this to a one-run ball game to set up another possible walk-off chance for Stanford in the bottom half of the ninth. Ben Reimers' last appearance came all the way back on April 3rd against Clemson, where he pitched an inning but did give up 2 runs in the loss. To see Joey Wright, who will lead off for the Aggies. Strike one into the 9-hitter. Reimers has seen only a handful of action on the season, 8 2/3 innings pitched in total. And a seesaw ball game between these two NorCal schools. Big swing and a miss by Wright. Strike 2.
Like I said, he hasn't pitched in a while. We did see him getting up to warm up against Florida State, but no better way to knock off some rust than being in a 3-2 game.
Fly ball hit the right field. Coming in for it, Reynolds. He'll make the catch. One down that will bring up Zach Story. Nothing like Reimers not knocking rust off here. Even the fact that he hasn't pitched in the game in 24 days.
How about this? You have a 40-on-40 matchup now.
Ground ball hit the third. Moran will get UC Davis's 40 out. There's 2 gone.
I mean, it's only fitting, too. If we have someone that lives in Vallejo on the call, that you have to have some 40 reference in there, right?
40. You know what I mean?
You really do have, like, the 2 main elements, right, of the high-feed movement kind of down pat, right? You're from Oakland, you live in Vallejo, right? And you got both bases of it covered.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see what BR40 can do here against Tyler Howard. Deliver a strike in. Tyler Howard, who's 1 for 3 on the night with a single and a walk. Nice. Strike 2. So Reimers trying to put UC Davis away here in the ninth. It's going to be Bates, Reynolds, and Chong due up for Stanford in the bottom half. Pitch just a little outside. Goes to 1 and 2.
I like it, though. Tailing movement, and you're in a 0-2 advantage. It doesn't have to be close. See if you can pick and chase. That's a good pitch there.
1-2, hit out to left field, and it's going to fall fair in front of Chong. Howard keeps the inning going for the Aggies with a 2-out knock. And as we've seen all game, Jordan, these 2-out rallies did surprise Stanford when UC Davis puts them together.
That's the 6th 2-out hit now in this game for UC Davis. They have 9 total.
Kai Malt will step up to the plate as Reimers is going to check on Howard at first. Kai Malt 1 for 4 on the night. Ground ball to Bates. He's going to go to second. That's going to end the inning. So here we go, folks. Stanford with another chance to walk things off and try to extend their win streak to 6 as we go to the bottom of the ninth here at Sunken Diamond. We'll bring it to you here on the ACC Network Extra. Oh, folks, if you're ready for another roller coaster ride, you came to the right place as we're now on the bottom of the ninth. Stanford going to need 1 to tie and 2 to win as UC Davis is going to go to Mason Lerma out the pen to try to get the 3 outs to shut down the Cardinal. Mason Lerma, 2.95 ERA on the season. This will be a save situation as UC Davis isn't going to their common closer in Roland Barnes, so this would be the first save on the season for Mason Lerma if he's able to get it. But the junior product from Cardinal Newman High School up in Santa Rosa. We'll see Charlie Bates to begin the bottom of the ninth. Stanford trying to look for another walk-off win in their 6th straight win on the season. Strike 1 in the Bates. After tonight, Stanford are going to hit the road to fly out to South Bend to see Notre Dame as they will open up the month of May against the Fighting Irish. Strike 2 in from Lerma, pounding the zone early.
You talk about UC Davis not going with their usual closer, but what a luxury for them where you have a Big West second-team member that comes in. Obviously, Arnold last year had 3 saves for UC Davis. 1.01 ERA. Right, so I know we talked about the Braves earlier. They have that situation, right, with Suarez or Rysel Iglesias, and it seems like UC Davis kind of has something similar they can go to as well.
Called strike 3. Base goes down looking on the backwards K for the first out. Mason Lerma starting off the bottom of the ninth in a good way. For UC Davis, after tonight, they'll have a road matchup against another fellow ACC opponent in Cal on Wednesday at Stu Gordon Stadium in Berkeley. Here's Brady Reynolds now. Lerma, big lefty. A lot of action in his delivery.
That's that big leg kick. Someone tells me he does Pilates.
87 there is Reynolds down, even at 1-1. Brady Reynolds 1 for 3 with a single. Oh, missed away that time. Goes to 2-1. UC Davis trying to go for their first win against Stanford since April 16th of 2019. Check swing, and Reynolds breaks the plane. 2-2.
And just the way the schedule worked out, and this is almost like the perfect time for UC Davis, right? It's a big emotional weekend for Stanford, big sweep of Florida State, and then here you are the very next day going up against a non-conference opponent.
Oh, off the corner, full count, and yeah, you put it perfectly, Jordan. Stanford, they've been on cloud 9 since they closed out the Miami series. They're trying to add a little extra here. Reynolds hits it fair down the left field line. He might be running for a while. He makes the turn at first. Woodridge picks it up close to the bullpen wall, but Reynolds parks it at second with a 1-out double. Stanford have the tying run on base as Philip Cheong will be due to hit.
And if my notes serve correctly, that's the first extra base hit from either team that we've had here in this game. So what an opportunity and what a time to have that extra base hit here in the 9th inning for Stanford.
Philip Cheong, who came in as a pinch runner for Jimmy Nadai an inning ago, in the 7th inning. Now has a chance here to possibly try to tie it for Stanford with Brady Reynolds getting on with the 1-out double. And like you put it, Jordan, there hasn't been too many extra base hits tonight as Brady Reynolds delivers the first one on both sides.
Incredible that you are here in the 9th inning and that's what you're saying.
So actually Stanford's going to bring out a pinch runner. So this is going to be Brock Sell, who will pinch run for Brady Reynolds. Brock Sell, freshman, providing some speed on the base pass for the Cardinal, as Philip Cheong has speed himself, but he's more focused on trying to put the ball in the open space. Cheong hits it hard, fair down the third base line in the left field corner. Sell will score easily. Cheong motors it in the second, and we are tied in the 9th, 3-3.
How about it? It takes us all the way to the 9th to get one extra base hit. So let's just double it up. Let's get another one right back to back. How about Cheong being aggressive early in the count? First pitch swinging, and he laced that double to the corner.
Smoked it off the bat at 101 down the left field line. Back-to-back doubles as Cheong trades places. Now is up to Nolan Stoll with the winning run at second. The freshman up to do a job. First pitch low for ball 1.
Here come the Cardiac Cardinal doing that thing again.
UC Davis with 1 out. Lerma delivers the 1-0. It's the mark for strike 1.
I'll tell you what, you get that strike to a catcher at the plate, he's saying, okay, well, next half inning, if there is one, I want to make sure we get that call too.
1-1 pitch. This low goes at 2 balls and 1 strike on Stoll. Saturday we had the base hit from Eric Gian. Yesterday we had the walk-off grand slam from Rentaro Sasaki. What did we get tonight?
You know who's on deck?
Runner takes off for third. The throw down is away. Looked like it went off the glove of Story, but nonetheless, Chong is in at third with the stolen base.
Now, that was almost too perfect of a throw. If you're Ryan Lee behind the plate, it seemed like he put that right to your point. The throw was right there where the tag was going to have to be applied, and it seemed like the helmet of Chong kind of hit it away from the glove of Zach Story over third base.
UC Davis infield in. 3-1 pitch. Stoll bounces it back to the mound. Chong going for the plate, and the tag is going to be put on him as he is out. Stoll does go to first. A man not sure what Chong was trying to do there on a ball that was hit back to Lerma.
Yeah, that was pretty predetermined on his part. He said no matter what, ball's in play and on the ground, he was taking off. And you would just had to so hope there, right, in the situation that the ball would bounce over Lerma's head. But to your point, though, Philip, it's one of those situations you know who's coming on deck, right? You'd rather have Rentaro Sasaki with the runner 90 feet away than trying to risk it there.
Now the hero from yesterday's win to sweep the number 8 Florida State Seminoles is Rentaro Sasaki as he takes ball 1. Walk-off grand slam hero. It's about over 24 hours ago now.
How about 2 in a row?
The 1-0. Breaking ball swung on and missed.
That was a nasty curveball.
Lefty on lefty matchup. See who's going to be the strongest. 1-1 from Lerma. Missed away, ball 2.
Lerma's got that grunt going now. Really hear that earlier in this inning.
Showing a lot more force against Sasaki. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Goes down in the zone again. Now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That looked like a change of the bottom. Just fell all the way out at the end.
Even count here for the sophomore from Japan. Allen bounces away. Stoll takes off for second. He's in with a slide. Now it's a full count for Rentaro with Stoll at second base. The winning run.
See Stanford again trying to be aggressive. That's a catcher that you got going to second, but it worked out for them. A pitch in the dirt that got away from Ryan Lee. We haven't seen that very often tonight.
See who wins the duel. Payoff pitch. Sasaki bounces it foul.
I'll tell you what, I think Rentaro would wish he had that pitch back.
Swing and a miss. Lerma puts down Sasaki and keeps it a tie ball game as we have extra innings once again here at Sunken Diamond. It looks like we're working overtime tonight, folks. 3-3, UC Davis and Stanford. We go to the 10th. We'll be back here on the ACC Network Extra. Free baseball here at Sunken Diamond as we have once again entered extra innings for the second time in 3 days here on the farm. 3-3 tie between UC Davis and Stanford. Brian Lee will lead off for the Aggies.
Let's make one thing clear here, though. So it's free for the patrons here. We don't work for free. So, Joseph, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, this is extra baseball. I want the overtime pay when the paycheck comes out.
One catch here as there is the extra inning base runner, so the inning will start with a runner at second for UC Davis.
I don't think it's a good sign for our overtime pay when I said, Yosef, we need extra pay, and he laughed at me. So you have Malt, who's had that last out in the ninth inning, who's going to start off at second.
Lee goes bunt, but pops it up, and a basket catch by Ben Reimers.
That's a gift.
I never want to see that as a head coach. Tommy Nicholson was hoping he would put that one on the ground, but there's one away.
I tell you, this is how you know it's starting to get a little late. I haven't seen the bat dog in a minute. And it was even one of the players. I think that was Logan Mossman I saw that ran out to get the bat.
Here's Elijah McNeil. Go look at strike one inside. Oh, 1. On sit down the right field line, but will tail foul. McNeil, 1 for 4 in the game with a single. Also a run scored as well. Malt, not a big lead at second. Doesn't look to run here. He's going to run on this one. Wild pitch. Goes to the backstop. Malt's going to try for the plate. They're going to get the throw home, but Malt slides in to score the run on the wild pitch from second base. And the Aggies are back on top 4-3.
The backstop at Sunken Diamond giveth, and the backstop at Sunken Diamond taketh away as well. And that's one of those things that's unfortunate, right, where if you're Nolan Stoll, if you don't find it, that ball just kind of camped out right by the padding as well. It didn't really have a big bounce back to him. And that's just an unfortunate sequence of events for Stanford.
Neal on the ground to Bates. He'll run in. He'll get the throw for the out. But he wishes that could have come a pitch earlier.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially in the very next pitch, that's what you get.
UC Davis get the lead back 4-3 on the wild pitch. Jackson Murphy will hit here. First pitch outside. And for Stanford, we'll have McDonald, Gian, and Tokan do up in the bottom half of the 10th. Swung on, fouled, straight back to the net.
I'll tell you what, there's at least one kid that's still out here that has some energy.
Hey, he has faith. He wants to see Stanford walk it off 3 days in a row.
Yeah, he's still charged up. We're heading into the third hour of this game. That's the other thing about it, too. How about the pace of this game so far? It's very rare where you're in extra innings and you still haven't reached 3 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, just about 2 minutes shy of hitting the 3-hour mark.
Good cut.
Reimers has Murphy at 2-2 here. Two hit hard in the right field. Jackson Murphy will keep the inning going.
I'll tell you what, UC Davis, it's been some tests this evening.
And Stanford are being summoned by the 2-out single once again.
UC Davis now hitting .467 with 2 outs in this game. 7 of 15. This is absolutely incredible.
Braden Wooldridge. Take ball one, and if you're a team that can hit like that with 2 outs, you could win some ball games.
Without a doubt, because to your point, I mean, you look at the other situations, they wouldn't tell you that, at least from the UC Davis standpoint, right? Obviously, Stanford has not done the best of job in all of their situational hitting. But the 7 of 15, it's such an outlier. They're 1 of 14, with runners on base, and 1 of 10 with runners in scoring position.
On a miss by Wooldridge, 1 and 2.
Like, if I were to tell you one team is 5 for 18 with runners on base and the other is 1 for 14, who would you think is winning that game?
I don't know.
Well, I guess with all the craziness we've seen here the last few days, that's a good point.
Walks over to third. Moran tosses it to second, inning over. UC Davis get the run to take the lead 4-3 into the bottom of the 10th, so Stanford will get one more chance as they will come up to hit. Here we go in the bottom of the 10th. Stanford trying to put together another walk-off chance here as they will begin the inning with a runner at second. Again, extra inning base runner rule. But instead of it being Rentaro Sasaki, who was the last out, it's going to be Rashad Hayes, who will start at second base as Court McDonald will come up to hit. Mason Lerma still in the game for UC Davis. Donald puts down the bunt.
Good bunt.
Hayes will advance to third. They're able to get the play at first. So sacrifice bunt works in favor for the Cardinal as Hayes with the speed is the tying run at third.
Yeah, job well done there by Court McDonald on that bunt. And so we're going to have a review to see maybe he's safe at first.
Yeah, like umpire crew get called to the camera well, so David Esker is going to call for a challenge. That play at first, it was bang bang.
Obviously, you can tell, and understandably so, for David Esker and Stanford, they're going for it now, right? Like we were talking about, it's like, okay, let's see what happens. Rentaro would have to be the runner that's at second to start the inning. Do you pitch run for him or not? And obviously, the bet, and understandably so with that, right, is that you're not going to have to come back up to the top of the lineup again in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you just think in the long run,
right?
Again, like Stanford fans, they're hoping for a different outcome, but in the outcome of what you would think, it takes the bat out of Sasaki's hands the rest of the way. Now here comes the word on what the call at first is. They do rule an out call at first, so McDonald will head to the dugout, but Rashad Hayes does advance to third on the sac bunt. Here comes one of the heroes from this weekend, in Eric Gian, who, as we all know, was able to get the walk-off hit in the win on Saturday. UC Davis with the infield playing in against Gian.
What a cut.
Goes for the first pitch, foul ball. And ball in the air, work in favor for Stanford. Pitch runs in.
What a stop.
Yeah, that could have been dangerous if Brian Lee didn't get that one.
Well, think about what the difference is in the game right now. It was a wild pitch that got by Stoll for Stanford that led to the go-ahead run right now for UC Davis.
Lerma's 1-1. This is in. Goes to 2-1 now. 2-1 breaking ball. This for ball 3. The Lerma just running louder and louder off of every pitch thrown so far.
That was a great take, too, by Gian. And a lot of late movement, bottom falling out. Stayed off on it.
Hitters count for Gian. And he'll look at ball 4. He'll take the walk. Now it opens up the door for Teddy Tokheim, the freshman out of Seattle who is having a stellar season. So he can contribute in a spot like this in more ways than one.
And David Esker is bringing everybody in. It's going to be a meeting of all the minds. All the base coaches are coming in. Runners are coming over as well.
Teddy Tokheim, he's had a freshman season for the ages, maybe one of the best freshman seasons for any player to step foot on campus here at Stanford. Of course, top 10, top 5 in most offensive categories in the ACC this season, as well as also all freshmen across college baseball. Of course, he could be up there for freshman of the year nationally in the ACC. Doesn't matter, what publication it is. Tokheim is going to walk out of Stanford in his freshman season with some accolades in his backpack.
Without a doubt. And I mean, again, just going forward, how can you just not be so enamored and hopeful of the future here on the farm as long as Teddy Tokheim's here?
Swings at the first pitch, goes foul. Tokheim 0 for 4 on the night. He's flown out 3 times and grounded into a double play. Oh, just got under the fastball there. Goes to 0-2.
You talk about really impressive freshman campaigns. I was trying to go back and just remind myself, where's the good start that Malcolm Moore had, right? That 311, 15 home runs. Drove in 63 in his freshman campaign here at Stanford.
Tokheim lays off of that pitch there. Good eyes at the plate. Goes to 1-2. Lerma trying to put him away. 1-2. Swung on and missed. Mason Lerma with the big K to get the big hitting freshman out. 2 gone.
Been a couple of times now he's gone to that changeup in a high stress level situation. And it has worked for him. And I actually would be surprised here if maybe he doesn't start off J.J. Moran with a changeup here. You think about the situation, tying run is at third. Maybe a fastball here might be a mistake, but we'll see what he goes with to start to set that off.
J.J. Moran has been Mr. Clutch this year for Stanford. A lot of big hits in late games in 2026. First pitch, off speed, outside. Of course, we know J.J. Moran had the big 3-run home run against Louisville on the road to win Stanford the series. Also had a big hit once against Pittsburgh and even one against Clemson here at home. Takes the 1-0, now goes to 2-0. And Hayes is the tying run at third. Gian is the winning run at first.
Good pitch coming here.
Lerma behind in the count. 2-0 pitch. Puts it in for a strike. One pitch. Moran hits it hard through the hole, and we are going to be tied once again. Hayes scores. It's 4-4 in the 10th.
Found something where he could just get it through the infield. I'll tell you what, Stanford, they're taking one out of UC Davis's playbook now. You need that 2-out hit. Good job there by Moran, and we stay going here. Now the winning run, at second base.
Stanford have been throwing haymakers all weekend long. They're trying to land one more on a mid-major. Bates pops up the first pitch, but it's going to go out of play into the seats. So Gian is at second base. Oh, winning run is in scoring position again for the Cardinal. Charlie Bates, 261 average on the season with 8 home runs and 27 RBIs, trying to go for 28.
349 hitter with runners in scoring position.
Bates flies it off down the left field line, and it's a foul ball. Just inches, and I mean inches, from ending this game.
Wow.
You need a magnifying glass just to see how close Bates was from keeping that one fair.
Yeah, I know, but Eric Gaucher was all over it down that line. That would have been that third walk-off in a row.
Try again. 0-2 the count at the plate. Lerma will regroup. The pitch. Check swing. Oh, and Eric Gaucher says that Bates went around, and we are going to the 11th. We're not done yet, folks. This game has had everything, as we're going to see if they could get it done in the 11th inning. UC Davis back up to the plate when we come back here on the ACC Network Extra. Well, Stanford were just inches, not even, anything else, but inches away from ending it in the 10th, but they weren't able to do it. So we're now in the 11th inning as Stanford weren't able to retie the game thanks to an RBI knock from J.J. Moran. But we're going to take it to the 11th. UC Davis back up to the plate with Wooldridge will start at second. Eli Burnham will be up to hit. And to take us to the 11th will be Jordan Watkins.
Thank you very much, Philip, as I try to make plans to see if I want to sleep in the office here this evening after this one's done. I guess we'll have another change for you defensively, as now J.J. Moran will move over to first for Stanford. And remember, Rentaro Sasaki was pitch run for.
Yeah, so Eric Young will go to third.
Dion's at third, and Rashad Hayes stays in at second. And the butt attempt by Burnham goes foul. Now you see again that positional versatility working out here for Stanford. So now your update defensively at first is Moran, Hayes at second, Gion's at third, Bates stays at short, and still Chong, McDonald, and Sell in the outfield.
After wondering where Rentaro Sasaki is, well, he's done for the game as he was pinch ran for when Rashad Hayes came in to pinch run.
Burnham trying to show bunt again, it pulls back as it's outside. And one of those things where it's not the softball rules. It's not like you can re-enter once you sub out. Burnham, Wright, and Story, the 3 due up for UC Davis in the top of the 11th. And that's in there for strike 2. Still Reimers out there on the mounds. 27 pitches. We approach 9:30 here in the Bay Area. 1-2. Check swing. It looked good enough for a strike, but just inside. Wow, what a take there by Burnham.
Yeah, he almost bit on the fastball there from Reimers. Ran inside and almost gave it a full swing, let alone a half swing.
Count now 2-2. Slider tails outside, counts full. Just joining us, Stanford got the party started scoring back in the third. UC Davis matched it in the top of the fourth at 1-1. And back-to-back innings, you had runs by UC Davis in the 7th and 8th innings after Stanford scored in the 5th. That one's up the middle. There's Hayes walking to the game, making a play defensively. What a scoop by Moran at first.
Both of those guys having to readjust as, Hayes coming off the charger, trying to make a play on defense, and then J.J. Moran over from one corner to the other, having to scoop that one up.
Yeah, but technically, Burnham gets the job done. He gets the runner over to third. Remember, he was trying to do that with the punt attempt. Now the infield will be in for the most part for Stanford. Now Gian Comenda playing a little bit of some mind games over third base with Wooldridge. UC Davis for Stanford tied it up in the ninth. Aggies got two bases on a wild pitch to take the lead. Stanford tied it up in the 10th. Fly ball, medium depth. Chong is under it. Here comes the throw home. Wooldridge puts on the brakes. Nobody at third to cover. What a strong throw by Chong coming in from the outfield to keep the runner at third. And there's out number 2.
Man, that throw from Cheong made Wooldridge hit the brakes mid base path. He was about a quarter of the way to home from third to home, but he saw that ball coming and think like, oh wait, let me go back.
And again, he's fortunate that there was nobody there to cover third base. So the inning continues now for the Aggies with Zach Story. It's been 0 for 4 today. In that 0 for 4, he does have a sacrifice bunt that he put down. That won't really help UC Davis here in this situation. 1-0 is low and inside. Howard would be next up if Story can reach. Reimers trying to finish up his third inning here this evening. That's low ball 3. There's some activity in the bullpen for Stanford. Of course, UC Davis, they have to ask the question where they're going to go on the mound in this next inning. Or excuse me, the next half inning. As that one gets a piece of Story right on the back of his shoulder. Of course, that one's going to be painful. He will reach. Runners on the corners now. And the thing now, too, Philip, if you're Ben Reimers, you never want to hit someone. You never want to give up a free base runner. That's really not the worst case situation. You're in a 3-0 count, right? I think you'd rather let someone be at first base rather than groove an easy pitch down the middle because you're trying to get a strike in.
Well, the good news is you have 2 outs. The bad news is, you pretty much opened up the gate for a guy who was 2 for 4 on the night, who and put one out there to regain the lead, which, again, just makes the hill steeper for your team when you go back up to hit.
Looks like Stanford's going to make another call to the bullpen, potentially. There's someone in the bullpen walking towards the gate. And, of course, usually a lot of times the telltale is when you see all the Stanford players come out of the dugout, and now they're starting to make their way out, so we will have a pitching change here coming in the 11th inning. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you about the new Stanford pitcher. As runners are on the corners for UC Davis with a 2 out here in the top of the 11th. Coming out now for his 3rd appearance here in the last 4 games for Stanford. It's going to be the lefty, a freshman out of Woodstock, Georgia, Andrew Shaw. And had the 2 appearances against Florida State, one on Friday and one on Sunday as well. And overall, for Shaw, some good work in that Florida State weekend. Did give up the 2 hits, but no runs came across. And just to take that even further out, right, in terms of a pretty good freshman campaign so far. Just 1 home run given up in a little over 20 innings for the freshman.
Yeah, and Friday he came out as the opener against Florida State. Went 2 innings strong in that one. but the situation here is 180 from what he had to do on Friday.
Because now he has runners on the corners, Wooldridge at third, Story at first. There are two down. But you also have Tyler Howard at the plate, one of the better hitters in this UC Davis lineup. So far today, 2 singles for Tyler Howard. And he hits that one fairly well to left, going back on at Chong, and he camps under and makes the grab for out number 3. Job well done there for Andrew Shaw. We'll see if Stanford can end it. Here, going to the bottom of the 11th, we're tied at 4 on ACC Network Extra. To the bottom of the 11th we go. Does Stanford have an answer to end this one here, or do we continue to play on as we find the answer to that question? Be a new pitcher coming on for UC Davis. As Taylor Worth, the freshman, coming in from Coronado High School down in Southern California. You saw him pitch 2 days ago against Long Beach State, where he gave up 3 hits and 3 runs. Again, if you're Stanford, all you need is just one.
It's going to be Charlie Bates to start at second. Again, extra inning base runner rule in effect.
And you'll have a pinch hitter, Tatum Marsh, coming in. Well, that's one thing. We saw one Marsh brother start the game for Stanford. Maybe you'll see one help to end it. As Tatum squares up to bunt and pulls back for ball 1.
It's like David Esker just giving him the bunt sign, so it's going to be more of just a sacrifice play here.
Correction, they called that one a strike. I thought he pulled back because it was going to be outside. But there's ball 1, so now it's 1-1 count. Tatum on the year, batting .220. Squares the bunt again, and another strike called. Marsh does have 2 doubles and a triple to his name this year. Squares up the bunt again, another breaking ball in for Worth, but that one misses the zone. We're in 2-2.
Worth's keeping it up in the zone, kind of making it hard for Marsh to put the bunt down, trying to prevent it from popping it up.
How about the trust here from Esker to keep the bunt on with 2 strikes? And offered at it, but couldn't connect, and that's going to be strike 3.
And just rolled the dice there and, have to pay the price.
And so with that, here comes Philip Chong. And they're just going to put him on here. So the automatic 4-pitch walk comes up. So now the force play on it at any base. Of course, outside of home plate for UC Davis. And now we'll see what Stanford does here. It looks like Nolan Stoll is going back to the dugout here. Of course, he had been the catcher all this game, but now I believe I see Luke Lavin, who's your usual starting catcher for Stanford, who's grabbed a bat and looks like he's going to get some warm-up swings in and step to the plate.
We did see Luke Lavin have some big hits in that Florida State series, so no surprise here for him to get the call off the Charger to try to win it.
The lefty stepping in, hitting .282 on the year. 4 home runs, is 22 driven in, and there's a big 23rd potentially standing 180 feet away. First pitch, that late movement comes back over the plate, strike 1. And it makes sense for an off day for for Luke Lavin for the most part. All those innings that he caught this weekend. Now being called to duty here. And fouls that one off, and now he's in an 0-2 hole. Stanford, for the most part, has dominated the extra innings. In fact, this is the first game that's gone to extra innings where they've given up a run. They've been outscoring opponents 4-0 when it comes to extra inning games. And another good job there by Lavin to stay alive as he fouls it off.
We got a chance here to get their 7th walk-off win on the season.
So too. Curveball, couldn't snap it off. And you do go back to the top of the lineup for Stanford, but just a reminder, it's not the usual top of the lineup. That's not Rintaro Sasaki that would be up next. It's Rashad Hayes as he came in as a pinch runner. Outside, ball 2. Plot just like the air here. It continues to thicken with each pitch. 2-2. Low, ball 3. Good take.
And you think with this too, like most of the hitters in the lineup, the remainder of the game are underclassmen.
Swing and a miss. Pulled the string on him.
And there's a nasty pitch there by Worth. They're having the curve and just able to get him off balance.
That's a big-time strikeout. Second one in the inning now for Taylor Worth. So here comes Rashad Hayes. Already saw him had to make a play in the field after he came in. See if he can make something happen here at the plate. First pitch, big cut, came up empty. Something to the outfield. Should win it for Stanford if it touches the grass.
Don't do too much of your Hayes here at the plate. Gotta put something out in play. On the ground, probably, or I'll try to hit it over the infielders.
Can the freshman from O'Dowd in Oakland get it done? That almost hit him. And the last time he had an at-bat was back on the 11th against Louisville. To score a run, though, in a pinch run fashion against Florida State. 2-1. Swing and a miss. Another healthy cut. Came up empty. Worth trying to take us to another frame. Hayes trying to take us home. 2-2. Good eye outside. You could tell Worth really wanted that one.
Yeah, he's jumping and hopping all over the mound. He thought he had the strikeout.
Yeah, he was celebrating already. But now here comes a big pitch because now for him, he has to recenter himself.
Comes a dual battle here.
Both runners on the base paths for Stanford will get a head start here. Payoff. Pops up, foul territory, long run, makes the grab. What a play in foul territory by Ryan Lee. And it's a tough job. He had the mask on, had to locate it, did a good job, showed the athleticism to get over there as Stanford strands 2. Will play on to another frame. We go to the 12th, still tied at 4. Going to the 12th. Kudos, too, to all the fans that have stayed out so far for this marathon of a game as it's playing out to be.
They're not worried about going to work tomorrow, I guess.
I Guess not. Kai Malt will lead things off. Of course, you'll have Tyler Howard at second to start this inning off as well as the extra runner. And wow, what a job by Malt to get that bunt down. That pitch was coming high and tight and still found a way to get it done.
Just ran in, but was able to put it down and do a job. Getting Howard over to third.
It's the third successful sacrifice bunt now that we've seen from UC Davis. Infield in now for Stanford as Ryan Lee comes to the plate. Howard at third. And first pitch swinging, fouls that one off. Lee 1 for 5. Singled back in the 8th inning, came around to score. Does have 2 strikeouts to his name as well. In the dirt. Stopped, though, by 11 as he stays in the game behind the plate. The other defensive change for Stanford as well has been Tatum Marsh, who stays in and takes over in right field. Now the count 1-1 to the UC Davis catcher. And oh boy, did he take a healthy cut there.
And a good pitch out the hands of Shaw going off speed with the junk. We know he likes to mix the stuff up well in that herky-jerk delivery. Makes some hitters dance at the plate.
1-2. Off speed, pulled the string, got him out in front. Big time strikeout there by the freshman. And now they're 2 down in the inning as Elijah McNeil now will come to the plate.
Shaw's locked in out there on the mound.
Third strikeout of the game now for Lee. And McNeil, who has singled and scored, will come up. And it looks like they're just going to put him on. Have a force first and second. So McNeil is on, and now stepping into the plate is Jackson Murphy. Had his first AB back in the 10th inning and singled. UC Davis will gladly take another one of those right now. That's low and away for ball 1.
Well, they set up for the lefty-on-lefty matchup here. And Shaw, the stuff, he's able to get left-handed hitters chasing.
Just missing the outside corner. Pretty well located, but also a good take. Count is 2-0. Wooldridge would be next for UC Davis if Murphy can reach. And hit the other way and down for a base hit. That's going to roll for a while as Sean tries to check it down. 1 run scores. McNeil will stop at third. RBI double for Jackson Murphy, and UC Davis once again back in front. What a piece of hitting.
And Murphy able to take it the other way, and talk about how Shaw likes to go outside the zone against lefties, but Murphy able to come through for another clutch hit, and UC Davis back in front.
And a good job there, right? You talk about it. It was on the outside part of the plate, didn't try to pull it or do too much with it, just found the grass over by the line. And the 2 out hits continue for UC Davis as there will be a ground out, though, to first by Wooldridge for out number 3. But now Stanford, they're familiar in this situation in this game. They're coming back to the plate. They need to get at least 1 to continue this game on. Well, they get it here in the bottom of the 12th. They trail 5-4 here to UC Davis. If you see that on your screen, you know there's some Billy Squire playing right now at Sunken Diamond. Trying to get the rest of this crowd that's stuck it out so far through these extra innings. Keep them involved. And hopefully Stanford can ride some of that energy to tie this game up and maybe win it here in the bottom of the 12th. It'll be Taylor Worth still out there pitching for the Aggies. Rashad Hayes is the final out in the 11th. Will go to second. And you have 2, 3, and 4 due up for Stanford. And Philip, it's one of those situations, even though we've had a lot of substitutions and changes, this is still your usual big heart of the lineup, if you will, for Stanford with McDonald, Gian, and Tokai coming up.
I mean, you got the right guys that you want at the plate to try to win it. And I feel like at this point, you're running out of opportunities. This is probably the best one you're going to get.
First pitch fastball high and away to Court McDonald. 1 for 4 in this game. He's brought home 2 of the 4 Stanford runs. One by a single, the other grounding out over to third. Line drive, that gets through for a base hit. Hayes comes around third and he will stop there. The runners on the corners to start the 12th inning for Stanford and give Court McDonald a multi-hit game.
The hard hit ball by McDonald wasn't going to be enough for Hayes, even with speed, to come around to try to score on that one. It would have been too risky. You don't want to test that arm of Howard in right field.
102 off the bat for Court McDonald, and now here comes Eric Gian, and Phil has told you about it. He's already had a thrill for the dramatic this last weekend, had one of the walk-off hits for Stanford against Florida State. Stepping in 2 for 4 today with a pair of singles. As that's in the dirt, another great stop by Ryan Lee. Stanford 7 for 25 with runners on base. Next hit. Tie the game up at least. 2-0.
The strike zone is getting smaller as this game goes on. And Gian, with having that open stance, he does make the strike zone smaller in his favor.
2-0 line drive, that's going to get down for a base hit. Easily coming around to score is Rashad Hayes. RBI single for Eric Gian, and we are tied at 5.
Eric Gian with another big hit. He's not too far removed from what he was able to do on Saturday, but now Stanford back where they hope that they can start from. Teddy Tokheim, the freshman, can come up clutch here.
Well, runners at first and second, still nobody out. Here's Teddy Tokheim. And it looks like David Esker wants to have another meeting of all the minds here before Tokheim comes up. Really everything in play now for Stanford. First and second is your situation with nobody out. And here you are at the middle of your lineup. This is exactly the situation that you'd want.
Absolutely. Second and third, or excuse me, actually, first and third. Tokheim, as we all know, a good hitter that can get things done. First and second, I mean. Yeah, Tokheim a good hitter that can come through in a big spot. And he doesn't have to do too much either.
No.
With Tokheim being young, he still has good awareness to know, hey, if I just put it out there, we could all go home.
And again, you have a pretty good runner, too, with Court McDonald at second. He would be the winning run. Tokheim find a way to get him home and get all of us home. First pitch in there for strike one. Also, too, David Esker, I think obviously they're going to talk about a little bit of strategy there. Almost like an ice the pitcher situation, too. Let Taylor Worth think about this situation that he's in. 0-1. Big swing and a miss.
The wipeout stuff out of the hands of Worth as throwing Tolkien off. And, that happened when Tyler Wood was in the game.
Yeah. Fly ball, shallow right. And it'll be the right fielder, Howard, calling off everybody else. Well, there's the first out of the inning. And now here comes J.J. Moran.
And Tolkien again being bit by the in the air outs. And even though he sent a few good ones in the air, just hasn't been able to find the open field all night.
Ran 1 for 4 today. Singled, brought home a run back in the 10th. Line drive, that's going to get down, base hit. Here comes McDonald around and got to the wall. That'll get it done. We are going home. J.J. Moran walks it off for Stanford, and the Cardiac Cardinal keep up the late inning heroics. Wow, what a ball game.
J.J. Moran was able to tie the game up in the 10th with the RBI single, and he wins it here in the 12th. And Stanford, they just continue to bring excitement here at Sunken Diamond, and to do it against a UC Davis team that played scrappy baseball all night, Jordan. This has to feel rewarding, and it may not match the same kind of energy that they brought against Florida State, but you want to close out this homestand with a W, and that is exactly what the Cardinals were able to do tonight.
You hit the nail on the head. Again, it's human nature, and it would be understandably so, right? If you kind of have a little bit of a letdown after such a big weekend that Stanford had. But the sign of a team, I think, that is finding a way to turn that corner. They found a way to weather the storm and then get it done here in the 12th inning, as Andrew Shaw will be credited with the win. And Stanford overall, 6 runs on 13 hits. They had 1 error. They left 11 on base, but J.J. Moran with the big hit there to get the win, as UC Davis went 5 runs on 11 hits. They had 1 error. They left 14 on base, and so, again, for both of those teams, a lot of missed opportunities there, but, of course, Stanford getting the big hit when it mattered. And one of the big things for them, you take a look at it, 9 for 28 with runners on base with the Cardinal, and 6 for 20 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I think that right there where Stanford were able to capitalize with runners on scoring position and, even have hits at the right time. In a game like this, where you rely on your pitching, which the bullpen once again was able to do their job, get out of the big jams, but the bats came alive at the plate, and even with how many changes had to be made. Rashad Hayes taking the bat over in Charles Sasaki's hands. Tatum Marsh having to come off the bench. Phillips Young, who had a big hit himself, having to come off the charger to deliver. The Stanford team fought hard, and it's starting to show the willpower that this squad has going forward.
Without a doubt, and so we'll see if they can continue that forward as they will head to South Bend, Indiana to go up against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish next. UC Davis falls to 19-24 now on the season. A well-fought game for the Aggies as they will take their attention back to another ACC opponent as they'll play Cal on Wednesday in Berkeley before they go down south to Cal State Fullerton. Meanwhile, Stanford now at 22-19, trying to keep the good vibes rolling here on that win streak now as it extends to 6 games. Can they keep it going? We'll find out next week. But for now, thanks again for tuning in to another display of ACC baseball here on ACC Network Extra. For Philip Hall, I'm Jordan Watkins. Thanks again for tuning in. Again, your final score here in 12 innings. Stanford 6, UC Davis 5. Thanks for everyone who tend to tune in the whole time. I hope you're getting to the bed now to get some sleep, and we will talk with you soon. Have a good night, everybody.